This was scary, exhilarating, and makes you doubt everything you ever learned that's real and unreal.
Back in 2014, I began work on a 10-part documentary series on the subject of Bigfoot. It took me places I did not expect to go, and it gave me a perspective I did not expect to have. Well, it's been 10 years, and a lot of questions still remain. Join me and help me to answer the litany of questions hanging over the phenomenon known as Bigfoot.
Walking up, I could see that there was something there. As I got closer, it stood up.
I know there's something there. I'm a lot more leery when I go out. I mean, really leery.
And I seen this humongous arm reach right in.
One of the dogs got killed, twisted, and tore in two.
What the heck have I heard when I've been out in the wilderness on so many different occasions? When I want answers, I go after them. My new documentary film, The Question of Bigfoot, will attempt to answer all of the skeptics' burning questions. Why don't we see one on a trail cam? Where are the bones? Have they ever been hit by a car? Why haven't we captured one? Is there enough room out there in the wilderness for them to exist? Are they real or are they not? I can't do this without you. So take a look at all of the rewards within this Kickstarter campaign and help me to produce The Question of Bigfoot.
Now, for 25 years, I've trained in survival, taught survival, practiced survival, and of course, filmed survival. Essentially, that means that out here, I've had to exist pretty much in the same manner as a legendary creature we've nicknamed Bigfoot. Find food, water, build shelters, stay hidden. So where do I stand on the subject matter? I've seen my share of the unexplained out here. But I'm a skeptic. I need to see it to believe it. And that's what I'm here to do now. To get as close as I can, if that's possible, to the legend known as Sasquatch. This is a remote area in the foothills of Alberta, a northern paradise, crisscrossed with trapping lines, survey lines, and access roads for hunters. I've enlisted the help of a Bigfoot tracker named Todd Standing. He claims to have had multiple interactions with what he believes to be the legendary creature known scientifically as Gigantopithecus. He says they're here. I want him to prove it to me.
Thousands of examples of anecdotal references, including confirmed DNA evidence, are not enough for the world to accept their existence. And it's not enough for me either. I need to see one. The way I see it, there's two ways to ask the question. Number one, the easy way. You believe in Bigfoot? That's one way to ask the question. But there's another way to ask that same question. Do you think it's possible that a bipedal ape or a bipedal hominid species could exist around the world in extremely remote locations, or not so remote but thick enough, be responsible for thousands of anecdotal references, from rock throwings to vocalizations to sightings to supposed film footage? Do you think that could exist? Well, that's a different question. That doesn't require belief or faith. It requires answers that are scientifically based. It requires analysis of thousands of examples of evidence based on years of research. It requires an open mind with a skeptic's eye. It requires throwing away preconceived notions and starting at ground zero. Well, for me, this is ground zero of proving or debunking the reality, the myth of the wild man of the forest. Yowie, Yeti, Sasquatch, Skugog, Kushtika, Oma, Bigfoot. I can come out here full of skepticism, that's fine. But if I do believe that if you bring out here the intent that you're up against something, you know. Yeah, you're up against them, you're versus them, then it's the wrong way to approach it. But it's also what I've taught in survival for many years. You know, you have to respect what you're dealing with. You can't fight it. You can't fight it. You can't fight nature. You're not up against nature. You are trying to exist within it. You're trying to survive. And that survival requires respect, humility, and paying attention. And it's no different in the quest for Sasquatch and some sort of connection or experience, whatever that might be. It's going to require the same thing. On July 27th, 2007, while filming a scene from my Survivorman Alaska show, I was distracted by noises in the bush about 100 yards away. If you watch me in these scenes, you can see times when I momentarily look off into the bush on a number of occasions. I was wondering what the sound was. I'm used to sounds in the bush, so I wrote it off as a moose or a bear and carried on shooting the scenes of making a grass bed for my shelter. But eventually, I finished capturing the footage I needed and shut off the cameras. As I walked towards my shelter, I heard a hair-raising, extremely loud sound that could only be described as something like a great ape grunting at me. I've heard many bears grunt, and this was nothing like that. What's more, it repeated it 4 more times very loud while I stood frozen in my step. When I made my move to grab the camera, it took off through the bush and sounded like a freight train breaking trees as it covered many hundreds of yards in seconds. Those sounds have haunted me to this day.
And then I'll do this opposite direction over here.
So we've come to a bit of a high ground, and by virtue of your whoop, we've said, hey, just letting you know we're here, right?
Yeah.
That's basically it.
That's it. Okay. Yeah.
Whooping has been referenced hundreds of times throughout the world when it comes to Bigfoot stories. Todd has a theory about markings found throughout this area where 2 trapping brothers claim to have been scared out of the forest after visual contact with a Bigfoot. They refuse to return. He feels that the systematic and seemingly uniform breaks in trees are signs of communication from Gigantopithecus. They were marking territory for the trappers, part acceptance, part warning. You know, I've broken a lot of branches in my lifetime just doing survival.
Yes.
I've had to bend over a lot of trees, break a lot of trees, cut a lot of trees.
Yes.
And I'm just thinking about this, and I'm just, you know, it would need to be a powerful hand, a grip that snaps and breaks like that. See, I keep trying to excuse this by snow. Saying, well, if there was like 3 feet of snow crystallized on the top and the wind comes in and then snap, right?
Yeah.
But that's not usually how it works. You know, the trees can bow over and they might just sort of stay like that. I've seen that over and over again. To be just out in the open like this, you know, and to be snapped like that, yeah, it's like it takes hands. I'm just actually starting to really feel that now, thinking of the different trees I've seen and being able to, all of a sudden, I feel like I can recognize the difference between a tree that is purposely broken off and put over versus there was lots of snow on the top and it bent over in the wintertime. Well, I'll tell you, it's going to open up my eyes to tree breaks whenever I'm in the wilderness now. Every 100 yards or so, we find tree break after tree break, all pointing in the same direction, all very conspicuous and not feeling like a natural occurrence at all. They're too systematic, yet I have to be careful not to fall prey to the power of suggestion. I'm not interested in flirting with conspiracy theories. A strong man is not going to do that. I've worked with enough branches and trees to know that ain't going to happen. There's going to be cut marks in it, axe marks, saw marks.
And again, now we're looking at the age of this as well. Don't forget the age.
Yeah, that's not a moose break. And it's not snow either. Again, if it was snow, it would be like that, because I've seen this. It would be March 5th, and it's a big, heavy snowfall. The next day, it goes up to +5. The rain comes in, but then the wind comes in. All those heavy trees just like, whoa, and then you hear snap, crash, bang. But there's always 10, 20, 30, 50, hundreds of them all down, not just one. If the thought is, what is out there for a great ape to survive on? So, well, grizzlies are massive.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
There's lots of them, and they're out there surviving on berries and roots and tubers and grasses and sedges and rodents and fish.
Yes.
Same thing.
Yeah.
In 2010, 4 days into a remote region of the Rocky Mountains, less than 12 hours after a freak snowstorm that provided ideal cover, Todd was able to record this footage. It was this imagery that convinced me to utilize his field knowledge in this quest for answers regarding Bigfoot. One thing is for certain, this image is not a blurry image of something running in the distance. It's pretty clear. You can see what I see. So we're left with only one of two possible answers. Either Todd has set this all up, and it's some kind of elaborate hoax, and he's a fraud, and this is a fake, and he's dedicated his whole life to perpetrating this hoax. Or it's not a fake. It's real. So what if this is real? Here in a powerfully beautiful stretch of the foothills of Alberta, I'm looking for some answers. If you look at and listen to the overwhelming amount of evidence pointing to the existence of Gigantopithecus, it becomes hard to ignore at least the possibility. But like you, I need to see it to believe it. Todd and I have really only been out here for a few hours. We walked most of the afternoon, late afternoon, deep in, checking out signs and just getting a read on the area. Now we're about to bunk down for the night, and this time, got a sleeping bag, a pad to sleep on. We're gonna sleep out in the open before we can even get settled before the sun set. And at this point, Todd's convinced that we've got not one, but potentially two, potentially four Sasquatch moving in. And I heard it too. I heard movement in the bush over there. I heard movement in the bush over there. So we've kind of gone back to our normal activity. We're just, you know, if we're being observed, if this is the situation, well, we're just being normal, casual. We'll see how it goes. We got a full moon rising as well.
The night here is just dead calm. You could hear a branch break from a mile away right now. And it's incredibly bright. The moon is full and just, I mean, it's nearly as bright as day out here. Todd has gone into the truck to sleep for the night, and I'm just left out here alone, just to see what else, if any other instances of sound or activity occur. Nothing's happened. It's been just calm all night. There is one incidence of, supposedly, of a man who was actually picked up by Bigfoot in his sleeping bag, carried off. And he spent 2 days with the Bigfoot family and escaped. Something to think about.
Why do so many thousands of trappers, hunters, and conservation officers and the like claim to have seen a Bigfoot? Are they all hoaxers? Are they all delusional? The answer, no matter what it is out here.
Essentially today, what's gonna happen is Todd and I are gonna head off in another direction, do some basic tracking. Any kinds of markings, signs, tracks that are different from what you'd expect. There really is only one way to truly get in and track wilderness creatures of any kind, and that's to get in there. I think the key here is, in my situation, if I'm looking to survive, I look for the same things. And this is a fertile area. It's a really good place for survival. And that's why there's grizzly, moose, cougar, wolves, and according to my friend Mr. Standing, Sasquatch. So we'll keep looking.
Right now, over there, a tree structure that is so significant, I don't think you could have made it without big equipment or ropes.
Really?
As a human being.
All right.
So we'll go have a look. You see it already. We'll go investigate it.
Okay.
I'll show you why
Okay.
it's so significant.
As we approach the structure, it really isn't something you'd notice if you were walking by. There doesn't seem to be anything exceptional about the area. It's not high ground or low ground. There's no nearby creek or specialty food sources. Of all the places, why build a structure here? I need to see if Todd is onto something that few, if any, before him have discovered. Let's give Gigantopithecus the benefit of doubt for now. It would be the closest thing to a human in intelligence that we know. So why wouldn't it make markings and build structures to communicate?
So the first thing you'll notice is the cross section is about 14, 13 feet in the air. All these trees are from a different direction, but some of them, like this one right here, that's thrown upside down. Ever seen a butt of a tree 15, 20 feet in the air like that? And even better than that, if you look at this one over here on the left, it's suspended in the air. Look at the butt, 2 feet off the ground. It doesn't happen naturally. This structure is over 30 years old, probably more like 50. That road that we walked in on is 10 years old. You know how far it was to get in? Can you imagine this being here 30 years ago when there was no road? This tree is bent in. It's actually physically been bent and twisted into this structure.
To play skeptic, I'm trying to say, okay, let's throw the Bigfoot notion out the window.
Okay.
Let's say natural occurrence. And I can't think of a natural occurrence to pull this in. All we really have to work with out here is the weight of the snow and windstorms and rot. The snow couldn't have done this. I know that. Wind wouldn't have done this. I know that. Rot wouldn't have done this. I know that. There is one missing link. There is one last thing that could be left here, and that is, what about a human or humans? Well, I work with trees all the time. I maneuver trees around. I use dead trees. I use live trees. I put them into position. I make shelters. I make signal fires. I make markings. As a man, I could build this. The issue is the level of difficulty is extreme. There's age to the trees, and that's very, very difficult to fake, and it's aged in position. These trees were in some cases possibly dragged and put in place, in other cases pushed where they stood. And the ones that are pushed where they stood, I take a look at them, and the bottom is old. If this was done even within the last 2 years, it wouldn't look like this, which tells me that this thing has been here for quite some time, and which tells me that the potential for this to have been faked is small. I can get close to the feeling of survival in a place like this, which means I hope to get close to the reality or the non-reality disproving the Sasquatch. And when you come and look at a structure like this, I'm challenged. I'm challenged to disprove this. I'm challenged to say, Todd was in here last week. He had some buddies. They put this all into place. This is pretty powerful.
The whole point of my trip is to attract a Sasquatch. It's said that leaving them gifts does several important things. It lets them know that we're here for them, that we know they're here, and that this is their home. And in recognition of that, we leave them the gift. All of this is done with the intent of building a relationship of trust, and perhaps even getting them excited about our being here. Todd uses apples as the gift, and we place them high enough that deer or elk can't touch them, and anything else should leave obvious tracks.
That's where we're headed. And just keep seeking out signs. Walk through the area, be calm and casual in the area, and whatever is here, be it grizzly, be it squirrel, be it Bigfoot, it'll know we're here, and it'll make its own assumptions on how to deal with us, or not.
Like different examples of the same species of wildlife, Sasquatch too have reputations that run the gamut from friendly and even helpful encounters to aggressive behavior that includes grunting, screaming, rock throwing, leg pulls, and even abduction. Todd feels that the Sasquatch in this particular area must have some affinity to humans, since in fact, they seem to have accepted the trappers that were here before, even if their very appearance alone was enough to scare the men away. For me, it always comes down to getting right out there, deep in the danger zone, a place where I'm vulnerable enough for a creature such as this to want to attempt contact.
Oh, we're very clearly following a well-worn trail. It's not human trail by any respects. It's going to be entirely wildlife. See, these are the things to follow. We just got this perfect indentation. That's one of the benefits of tracking in moss. Marks that get made repeatedly stay for a while and give us something to follow here.
We continue to explore the trails as well as the unbroken areas of the forest. Signs of such a controversial subject are going to take a concerted effort to find, and I have to be careful. I don't want to fall prey to the power of suggestion. Todd is one of the best in the field, but what does that even mean? Yet he, like thousands of people before him, swears to have seen the creature clear enough to have no doubt. And I just want to erase my own doubts. The tree breaks are still just a theory, but like it is when I'm out surviving, you have to be out here to get it. Theory though it may be, things do seem to be lining up.
You feel that they point in the direction that is they're okay with you being,
Yes,
but not behind,
that's right.
where I'm standing, basically.
That's right. Don't. You go where the point is.
It's possible that this was a communication of acceptance for the trappers who worked this forest.
Another tree break, and again, same way. Hannah, big one, too. Will you look at that? See, we have a uniformity here that's actually starting to freak me out a little and get unbelievable, because this is clearly a trap line. He's cut his trail through here. Clearly, I can see that, this break, just like all the others, it points in the same direction. It's saying essentially the same thing. Your side is okay. My side's mine. Don't come this way.
And this one follows a trap line all the way through. To enhance the possibility of our success, we continue on the survey and trap lines. And we stop and hoop at specific calculated points. A few minutes after doing our communication hoops, we're stopped in our tracks by an answer.
Whoa. Did you hear that?
I heard that.
That was a Bigfoot.
Right. You said you want to take nothing for granted.
That was a Bigfoot. That was a whoop.
Yeah, I heard it.
Very clearly. That was not a crow.
Crow.
That was over that way.
I heard it.
That was the Bigfoot. That's the first time they've ever whooped back to me, ever here. And that's what I was talking about earlier. Nothing is... Because we'll always be walking, there'll always be something going on, we'll be talking, but you just heard that, didn't you?
No, I heard it clear, very clear.
And
we both went at the very same time.
Yeah.
Let's just take a look at this from my perspective right now. I've come out here with the purpose of skeptically getting closer to a Sasquatch and discovering what that means and what's possible. And I've done that with Bigfoot expert Todd Standing. So we come out here, we hike for hours, areas, we look at tree breaks, we do our whoops. These are characteristics and ways of being that Todd has discovered over years and years of study will be effective for connecting or contacting or having an experience that involves a Sasquatch. Okay, so I'm down with that, and we do it. We get out to the end, we're way up high. I mean, it's high. And we do our whoops, 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes goes by, and we both are stopped suddenly by what can only be described as a return whoop. Now, the reality is, hoax, okay, how in the hell did Todd ever get somebody all the way out there and time it for me to land here and then have them whoop back the way I whoop? You know, obviously, just impossible. Was it a bird? Well, potential is always there, but we know our bird calls pretty well. And just one little whoop like that, just like mine, off in the distance and nothing else, that starts to take away the probability that it's a bird. So let's just see what happens. This time, let's just do our whoops and sit quietly for 3 or 4 minutes, just to see. And if not, we carry on. Woo! Woo! I'm just gonna wait quietly here for a couple minutes and see if we get the same reaction we did last time.
Hoops in the forest will not be enough for me. I need to keep pushing. I need to go in deeper. I need to stay out here overnight and alone. I need to see this for myself. The answer is out there. Sounds I've heard in Alaska, Ontario, Alberta, British Columbia, Washington. Are they all birds and bears? Or something else? As we travel, we find more and more evidence of things that, at the very least, seem very much out of place for the natural forest.
Okay, I just want to show one thing. You know, this whole thing about Todd showing me these structures, it reminded me of something, and it's this. I had spent a lot of time in northern Quebec working with Cree elders, teaching kids wilderness survival methods. And one of the things they showed me was that, in fact, they utilized branches and structures to indicate a lot of different things, especially traveling. They might set up a branch in a certain way, another one would be leaning against it like this, and you come along and you go, oh, okay, well, Jimmy came this way, and he's suggesting that over that way is where the good moose hunting is. Or depending on where it exists on the branch, everything indicated something different. It was a way of telling a story to the person who comes along behind you. So when you think of this, that humans have been doing this for a couple thousand years here in North America. This was their methodology, to take branches, break them, bend them in certain ways, so that people behind them can get a message. It starts to make the tree structures that we're looking at as ways of
ways for a Sasquatch species to indicate something, to give a message, a lot more plausible. Is it so far-fetched that an intelligent species, an upright bipedal walking hominid, might do the same thing, and that all these tree structures that Todd is talking about are part of that process?
Everything is normal, looks as it should look in a forest. And then you come upon something that just seems abnormal. Like snow load or rot didn't do this. So what did? No. I know Todd's gonna tell me, absolutely, this is a tree structure. The base is clearly old, nothing fresh. Start from the bottom, right? So we've got the single tree up the middle, and it's still alive, okay? It has a whole bunch of trees tangled around it, twisted around it. And yet it's younger than the trees that are around it. Tree number 2 gets a snow load and falls like that. Okay, acceptable, all right. Tree number 3 is gotta be the suspended one. Okay, if it was snow load, then tree number 3 fell before anything else was there, right? It fell, I don't know how it could have fallen. I mean, it'd have to fall in between the fork branches, and then it would have to be here long enough to rot off the pieces on either side and remain there suspended. And tree number 4 is likely to be the big burnt one that goes across, but it's more like it's shoved up through, right? If that's the case, then why not these other trees? They're just the same size. Why aren't they snapped over? So taking into account the fact that the tree up the center's new, or like young, it's still alive, and then you place all these other branches, I'm just trying to, I can't imagine the complexity it would take for a winter storm. You know, it's March, it's heavy, it's wet, the wind is blowing, to make all this happen. It's like, it'd be like throwing puzzle pieces in the air and they land in the form of the picture they're supposed to make.
Various structures here are less than 2 miles apart. Why are they even here? What purpose do they serve to whomever or whatever made them? And how many more of them are there? The age of the trees and their positioning removes the possibility that Todd set these up as fake. Let's call this Sasquatch CSI. Well, so far, the evidence suggests that something, not humans, not weather, not rot, and not animals, made the structures. But what? Back at base camp, we prepare ourselves for a night that starts out calm, but will end anything but. There's no wind tonight. It's perfect. You could hear a mouse moving if you listen closely. But that's not what we're listening for. And at the moment, Todd and I are just sitting here by the campfire, kind of telling campfire stories, and sure enough, just heard a good, solid sound. You can tell it's wood sound. Not far, just a few hundred yards from us, likely. I heard that.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I'm gonna turn the camera so my microphone's pointed in that direction. 3. There's 3. Okay. We're not hearing just one thing. It wasn't just one thing. Now we've heard. What? I don't know. It just sounded like someone hitting one against another. Todd popped his mouth. A couple of small, gentle hoops. So I've got you positioned here with the camera so that the long shotgun mic is pointed in that direction. Chills going up my spine.
Something big, yet stealthy, is out there. And it's no bear, it's no moose, and there's more than one. At least 3 creatures make noises of swishing bushes and tree branches. Little knocks and pops. Deep thuds in the ground that you can feel even though you can't quite hear them. Why is there no better footage of these supposed creatures? I'm a filmmaker. I have the gear, skill set, and experience to capture what needs to be captured. But like survival itself, you have to be out here to get it. To know what it's like to hear a small sound that makes you turn or a large sound that makes you jump. Yet you don't catch it on film. And leaving the camera on non-stop, pointed exactly in the right direction, is not an option. So I'll wait, look, and listen. But to what? At this point, I can't explain. But there is something out there tonight.
I can think of how many times I've heard those sounds. I've heard them before.
Perhaps not is all as it seems in the vast wilderness areas that still cover this earth. Perhaps the confirmed DNA evidence of unknown ape species found in North America, the sounds and sightings in the prevailing native lore, actually mean something after all. If there were only a few dozen or even a few hundred, and they were intelligent enough to hide, they could certainly do it out here.
We're gonna head off into the woods here and investigate where we heard the 3 sounds last night, look around, see if we can spot any prints at all. I mean, the sounds we heard were distinct. There was no wind, it wasn't creaking trees, it was definitely not a grizzly or a cougar or anything like that. No ungulate, no hoofed animals. No, what we heard was something else. We're gonna go in and see if we can find some tracks.
You kidding me? The apples are gone?
Damn, we might have new prints here. And no signs of the apples. At all. They were here. Apples are gone. I'm seeing new impressions. Because that looks to me like a Bigfoot track right here.
Come here and look at this track. Heel impression. And then there's like holes. Oh, yeah. Okay, so we start back here and it ends up here.
Gosh, it sure does look like an impression, doesn't
It does, doesn't it? My foot wouldn't have made that and your foot wouldn't have made it.
And if we do the pressure test?
It's the same shape, but really slender. But look at the size of it.
It's huge.
That's not a hoof, it's not a hoof print.
No, that's bigger than anybody's footprint would be.
Checking out the tree structures, places where we've put the apples, just to see if anything's been taken, and indeed, they're gone from down at this one. This is the one right across from our base camp. The apples are gone, and prints, maybe. I know the print that I saw in the sphagnum moss was far too big for a human to make. It was definitely not an ungulate. It was not a bear, actually. The only shape that it had was the shape of a large human-like foot. You know, it had the shape of a Bigfoot. The beauty of tracking right now with this kind of sun is that the sun is hitting the ground on such a sharp angle that any tracks, any impressions, they just pop out at you. Really easy to see the shadows. Okay, this is kind of freaking me out here.
I recognize that the camera won't capture the look of this track the way my own eyes do, but no animal I'm aware of could have made it, and there's no reason for the moss to grow indented in this manner.
What's freaking me out about this is the track, the way it goes. It's got a definite shape like a human foot, and in the toe end of it, there's literally holes.
I see the exact same track here as I saw over there.
Look, slender heel.
What the hell is going on?
Long, right? Toe holes.
And look how close he was. This is close.
Yep.
He was looking right at us.
Those tracks were not there the day before. It's time to go in alone. That's how I do my best work anyway. Where I'm going defies all of my usual logic for a good place to survive and be stationed. It's a small, deep little pocket of a place, far from our base camp. The last place I'd want to be if I wanted the upper hand. But then that's the point, to make myself as vulnerable as possible, so that whatever is out there that might be interested in me feels safe enough to come in and check me out. Whatever's out there, I want contact.
The way we're setting ourselves up, and I understand where Todd's coming from. It's the opposite of what I would normally do. I mean, purposely placing ourselves in the position of vulnerability. I mean, this is the kind of positioning I would not put myself in an area like this when I'm concerned with good, healthy population of grizzly bears, black bears, and of course, cougar. But every once in a while, I gotta just stop and think, man, what am I doing? What is this anyway? But you know what? I know what I heard yesterday, and I can't explain it. Not within normal explanations. I think, ravens can kind of make whooping sounds. That's very true, they can. But they're also somewhat masters of mimicry, but that's not what I heard yesterday. No, I heard my whoop given back at me 3 or 4 minutes after I made it. And last night by the fire? Nah, there's no explanation for what we heard last night by the fire. I don't have one. And I spent most of my life out here. I start to think back to all the different sounds and things that I've seen and heard when I'm out on survival missions, especially what happened to me in Alaska, and also what happened to me in Northern Ontario. I know the sounds of moose, wolves, bears, birds. And these other experiences, they aren't any of those. So what are they?
We're following dozens of very strict rules set out by Todd. One mistake, and these elusive creatures could disappear into the vast forests without a trace. In 1995, I spent a year living in the wilderness, and on one occasion, I listened on a calm, dark night to 2 heavy feet walking closer to my shelter. My wife at the time heard them too. We sat and listened until it came so close that we called out, just as we would to scare off a bear. It could only be described as sounding like a very heavy man walking. But we were in the middle of nowhere, with no one around for many miles. The walker stopped when we called out. It turned and just walked away. I didn't see it, but I know it wasn't a moose or a bear. So what was it? If it happens again tonight, I'll be ready.
This is the strangest version of being out here I've ever done, that's for sure. Surrounded by grizzlies, cougars, and who knows what else. Well, here I am. You know, this is absolutely by far the last place that I would normally leave myself for the night. The last place. Completely vulnerable. Right at the bottom of a bowl. Everything around me is high ground. Cougars love high ground. The whole point is that, according to Mr. Standing, so do Sasquatch. And we're giving them that. I'm giving them that. I'm giving...
You can put out trail cams, use infrared technology to spot one, even hunt them if you want. You might get lucky, but I doubt it. I'm looking for contact. If there's something out there, I'll find it. a remote tract of forested land in Alberta, Canada, I'm attempting to get some answers about the controversial creature known as Bigfoot. I'm here with Todd Standing, who is one of the best in the field on the subject of this elusive and quite possibly fictitious creature. His theory is that there are purposely broken trees and massive tree structures made in ways that seem highly unlikely to be by natural causes or by the hand of man. He claims that they are for communication, markings of territory. I come in as a skeptic, and I've been led here by my own experiences of unexplainable occurrences that raised the hair on the back of my neck and left me baffled and perplexed in the Alaskan wilderness. So now I've put myself in the middle of a bowl-like bit of topography, deep in the forest, to be as vulnerable as possible, to give the beasts of the forests the upper hand. They have the high ground. I have the disadvantage. I've heard wolves howl, but also deep and heavy thuds into the ground that I can actually feel as well as hear. With nothing more than my cameras and a belt knife and some extreme night vision lenses, I'm trying to see hundreds of yards into the dark forest. But what is it that I'm looking for?
It's been a few hours and nothing, really. Just those thuds that I've felt in the ground. And it's getting cold, but no wind, no sound. Nothing's moving. Except for something that made the ground go thud. Huh. I just felt it again. Done a good job of spooking myself, that's for sure.
It's gonna be a long night. I don't sleep. I wait and listen in the dark by my fire, keeping it going mostly for psychological comfort more than anything else. I hear repeated thuds in the ground, and on several occasions, one lone wolf howling, but nothing more. The sun rises, and I'm no closer to the truth.
Well, it looks like I made it through the night relatively unscathed. Pretty calm night. There's a few things to question, for sure. There's some more areas that are pretty far in, where Todd has claims of a lot of activity. And that's where I'm headed next.
I'm headed many miles to the south, to the mountains, to the site where Todd Standing claims to have been nearly attacked by what he says were as many as 7 Sasquatch. From California to Alaska, these mountains hold hundreds of stories of encounters with a large, hairy, ape-like creature. The Aboriginal cultures here don't question its existence. They just accept it matter of fact. These mountains contain the highest level of Sasquatch sightings in the world. So it's right where I want to be.
I want to know what I heard in Alaska, what I saw. I want to know what I heard in Northern Ontario. Maybe the reality will be, I can't find my answers. Maybe the answers will come to me.
This is outside of an area known as Radium Springs, and there are plenty of claims of sightings. My mentioning it here doesn't give away some big secret. The hotspots for Bigfoot occurrences are well documented. The legend persists throughout much of the Northwest, the Rockies, and the Pacific coast. Inaccessibility is what this place has going for it, but modern equipment is making everything much easier. Still though, it's going to take going in on foot to truly challenge the notion of this creature's existence. The first evidence we explore are unnatural and possibly purposeful tree breaks. But this time, Todd Standing feels the broken trees indicate a warning to stay out. He feels he's pushed the envelope here, and it's annoyed the group of Bigfoot he claims live here. All the while, they watch the humans below log trees and mine for minerals. If they are here, what are they thinking as they watch?
This was my entrance in.
You used to come up here, you used to sneak down this trail?
That's right. These were definitely not here. So this is them saying, Okay, we get it. You're sneaking in.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't do it anymore. You're not welcome.
This is their communication with you. This is fresh. I mean, these leaves are green.
Yeah.
That's been bent over by force. And it's not a moose. And do you think it's the same scenario that as the other location where they're saying, okay, you're good on that side, just don't come on this side?
I think this is... I've gone past the barrier already.
Yeah.
There's a wall of breaks there. So I've broken the barrier. And this is in my face. Look at the trail. It's like right there, and this is like in my face.
Yeah.
And they're all like that. They're not off to the side.
Right.
They're like almost barriers I have to push through.
Yeah.
But we busted right over the trail.
The tree breaks here seem to signify a message to stay out, whereas in other areas, they may signify acceptance, the marking of a territory. It's a, this is my side, and you can have that side, kind of message. We're headed to where Todd had the most terrifying night of his life.
I haven't used this as a base camp for 4 years, since the night they went ballistic on me. Started by throwing little rocks at me.
That's not unheard of at all, even worldwide. The whole concept of mysterious rocks being thrown out of the bush, that's not new.
No. But what was sucked about it was running, grunting, growling, throwing stuff at me.
This is where you were?
Right there, right by that rock. I used to sleep right beside it. This is where I saw the big guy. He walked up to a tree, stood beside the tree, and just shook it. But what was scary about it was he didn't move, and that tree was coming out of the ground.
So, which is what happened to me in Alaska.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same thing in Alaska. Dead calm, one tree.
I think they built this structure, and I wasn't much of a tree structure believer. Then I came back here and I was like, damn, that's pretty significant.
Like in many other areas, these tree structures stand out as different from the forest around them.
So this first tree, how could that have fallen naturally? Look at it, the way it's bent like that.
No, it looks wedged in, absolutely. It looks almost weaved. And you'd have to have some serious pull-down pressure to get it to do that. And even snow load's not going to be enough for that. You have to use your mind's eye with this. This tree was standing straight up. And for snow load or even rot, it's going to come down like that, right? It's going to come down straight. Now, it's going through a whole line of trees, like 1, 2, 3, 4, all these trees in different directions like this. To get down straight like this, all the way down, would have taken some serious grip and pressure to pull it down into position. At this point, it just doesn't seem plausible that snow load and wind could put that tree in that position. So it had to be something else. Now, this tree here, it doesn't even have a... Once you push it down, seeing the rot, seeing how this is here, you should see basically the same thing on the ground, same sort of age. And it's not there. The older members might be doing some kind of a structure. Are the younger ones actually watching their elders and following suit and practicing? And so we have this big tree structure over there that took some serious strength, and then we come here and we've got a smaller structure as if, you know, the teenager was practicing. This is really interesting.
Yeah. To keep the structure up, they'll find a little wedge on another tree, and then they'll pile a whole bunch of others on top of it. If that wedge was to fall, the structure would lose significant integrity.
I know I'm ruling out humans altogether. I'm ruling out you because basically these are old. They've been here for many years.
Yeah.
You couldn't have done this before I got here. And ruling out wind and rain, we really end up with snow load. And in the concept of snow load, that's where I do my trees one at a time. And I mean, this one is almost hard to figure out and count because I still see the skinny one as tree number 1. It's like it was pulled all the way down. Then the other one had to be wedged over top to hold it down. So now you got tree number 2, which is the strongest and the biggest. So what's tree number 3? Tree number 3, oh man.
Trying to decipher tree structures in the forest like some kind of CSI exercise can be compelling.
Okay, so now here we go. Here's a tree that's in the middle. It's in the middle of the structure. Where's the root system? That's missing the roots. That's jammed in there. That's not. Okay, so this tree, in its position, like that, like I would make a shelter of sorts, in between the weave, very old, obviously, same age as the rest of the trees here, and there's no root structure. That is jammed in there. There's no roots underneath it. In fact, my fingers felt basically a rock. There's a rock there. So if it was part of a snowfall and it fell like this and landed, you trace it down, the root structure's there. Maybe twist, maybe broken, maybe bent, whatever, but it's there. In this case, there's no root structure. It's just jammed in there. Okay, now you got me. This one, being potentially done by an adolescent, is perhaps the most intricate we've seen so far. This was the structure that's blowing my mind. Whoever this kid is, he's a little bit of an artist.
I would say welcome to Bigfoot country.
Bigfoot country indeed. If you come here and travel through this kind of area and ask yourself the question, could an intelligent bipedal ape-like creature exist here undetected, with enough intelligence to have its own abstract mandate of staying hidden from humans, yet curious enough to be responsible for thousands of anecdotal references? Then you have an interesting question indeed. One that perhaps real science should either prove out or put an end to as a myth once and for all.
So this is flood damage, but you'll never see a tree break, even in this.
Yeah. So now, this is all natural. No one's trying to conjecture that they bent all of these over to warn you or to mark their territory. This is all very clearly natural. The avalanche and/or water. Here's a question for you. Why no tree breaks on this trail, since it's obviously a maintained hiking trail?
What you're seeing is breaks on the fringes of their territory. We're not in the fringes, we're in their territory now.
As Todd spent the majority of his last 10 years of adult life building all of this as a hoax. Why? So he can get on TV? Maybe become famous? The more I spend time with him, the more I doubt the possibility that anyone would go to this much trouble just to make a hoax.
This is the spot?
Yeah.
This is where you were hanging out for the night and they came in?
That's
all
right.
around?
That's right.
And you lit the flare?
That's right.
And had a bit of a panic attack?
Yeah, they were right on top of me here.
Damn it.
And what they were doing is, they were staying a good 20 yards away from me at all times. But, they were stomping, they were growling, there was no whooping, it was all aggressive sound. You get to a point where you shut off. It's too much panic, it's too much. I just shut right down. I fully went into shock, and that was it. Shut right down. There's no calm when there's 6 or 7 Bigfoot running around you, stomping in the woods, and I was screaming at them. Mm-hmm. Get out of here! Like I was yelling, like my voice went hoarse, because I was just terrified. So, and they were doing run-bys from multiple directions. I would be here and I'd be standing up, and I'd hear one come running by this way, another one come running by that way. It was so strategic, everything they did. They were just totally owning me.
Damn it! Ha! Get! Ah! Get out of here! Get! Ha! Ha! You want some? Ha! Get here! Ha! Bitch! Get out of here! Get out of here! Yeah!
So it was a brutal night.
When Todd first showed me his various bits of video footage, Some of it was suspect. Some of it was blood-curdling. And some of it left no doubt that to view it left you with only one of two options. Either he's a fraud and has dedicated his life to being such, or what he has is real. If it's the latter, well, that's just no small thing. I question why I myself would volunteer to have this same experience.
See those trees up the top? That's where we're gonna go across and sit on the ledge over there. And where they'll come is that peak. We're gonna give them that high ground, and they can come down to the peak and have a look at us.
Tree break.
Pointed in the right direction?
Yep, pointing to the trail. So you have me knowingly violating the Sasquatch code.
Correct.
On their territory, home turf.
Yep.
You were saying before, what's the sound we're listening for now?
Boom, boom, boom. That
The deep sound like I felt when I was down in the Nordegg alone that night.
That's right. Yeah. It's really, really powerful.
You can't almost hear it, but you can feel it.
That's right. Exactly. If you're lucky, you'll hear 3 steps. Boom, boom, boom. That's it. The newest tree break that I know of is this one. Problem I have with this is where I snuck in to film one of my videos. This is the exact trail I use. And about 4 years ago, I came to come back through here, and this was there. Coincidence? So, if you'd been here in the spring and came back fall and you saw this,
Yeah, no way.
so I'd like to put some more apples on it.
Bring some?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Placing apples and other food items out in the forest is a well-known method of Bigfoot enthusiasts for making interaction possible. Trees broken in a seemingly systematic way. Teepee-like structures that don't seem natural. Massive human-like footprints found by hundreds of people in remote areas. Reports of grunting, screaming, rock throwing, even sightings. DNA samples taken in North America and confirmed to be of unknown primate origin. It's all kind of overwhelming. But we don't have a body, and we don't even have clear and clean high-definition video footage. Yet. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, see, look at this. Now here's a spot here Todd and I have just found that grabbed our attention right away. And, oh, magnificent, right? You got the tangle. You know, is this gonna be a structure? And you know, we both think, not a chance. This is classic snow load. And yeah, there's a couple in some different directions, but if you look at the way it all is, just this mess of trees that have come down, it's all just pushed over. What's significant here is the base of the trees. Now, every time Todd points out a tree structure, the base of the trees, it's like they're all over nicely or snapped off. And look at the difference. Look at the bases of these trees here. Nothing at all like the tree structures that Todd and I have been looking at. This looks more classic, like snow came in, weighed them all down heavy, and they all toppled over in this direction, taking a few more with them. So if you start to wonder and you know, at the power of suggestion with the structures that we look at, now you come here and you go, okay, snow load, guaranteed. It's one of those things. You can see it. It's easily explained. This is easily explained. What we've been looking at is not easily explained.
Is it Sasquatch or human hoaxes? They can hoax aliens and crop circles, but that doesn't disprove them. And until we have a body frozen and accepted by public science as being perhaps a Gigantopithecus, Bigfoot will be in the same category as aliens and crop circles. But let's give their existence the benefit of doubt. What would they eat? What's available in large amounts enough to survive on? There's massive grizzlies surviving out here, and they seem to do well enough.
I kind of changed up my scope here and headed down. There's a river here. Actually, it's the Kootenay River. And salmon running up here all the time, and that kind of changes the game a bit. with a really good source of freshwater salmon. It's a good, solid supply of food for large carnivores. The grizzlies are going to come down here, obviously, eagles, and anything else that might be hungry. I really only have one option while working with Todd, and that's to trust him, give him my respect, and stay with an open mind. Of course I'm a skeptic. Of course I can see holes in certain things, and I challenge him when that happens. But I have to make sure that I don't fall prey to any power of suggestion. Now, for Todd, whatever he sees, he sees Bigfoot. When he hears things, he hears Bigfoot. And he's very zoned in on it. But how else are you going to study and research something if you do not nearly obsess about it? So many researchers in the past have been able to do that, and they've unearthed incredible discoveries as a result. Todd believes and hopes that he's in that arena, that he's about to unearth a most incredible discovery. In his mind, and from what he's been able to see and experience, there is no question. So it's a done deal in his mind. But there are those of you, maybe many of you, who say, are you kidding me? There is no species to research. There's a bunch of trees that have been pushed over by snow, and humans have made a couple of snaps and things, and the rest of the stuff is all a hoax. That doesn't explain the rest of the story. Because if everybody's hoaxing, then there are tens of thousands of people hoaxing. And if all tracks are fake, then there are hundreds and hundreds of incidents of tracks being cast and found that are fake in the middle of nowhere. So let's just keep an open mind, and I'll keep Todd's trust so that we can delve deeper. For me, I gotta see it with my own eyes.
When it comes to Bigfoot, seeing definitely is believing. For this elusive creature, going in deep to its territory and allowing myself to become vulnerable so that they feel they have the advantage is going to be key.
So Todd and I are going to take it pretty easy tonight. Tomorrow's the big day. I'm gonna go straight up to the top of the mountain. This is the area where he has claimed to have seen a lot of Bigfoot. Figures it's their home territory. And we'll head up there tomorrow, see what we can find.
It's an aggressive move. It places me right in their path at the edge of what could be their home territory. What's important to remember here is that anyone who studies Sasquatch takes it seriously, and gaining their trust enough to let you into their prized hotspot means going in with an open mind. I've made it clear to my Bigfoot tracker, Todd Standing, that I'll remain a skeptic until my own experience teaches me otherwise.
Overnight, it's turned cold on us. There's snow up in the areas where we want to go. It's going to be about a 7-hour climb up the mountain. First part's not so bad. A couple hours sort of only almost straight up. And 3-4 hours of straight up. If you want to get answers, you got to go the distance.
From my days working as a wildlife videographer, I know that this is the effort required if I want to get the great footage.
This is not really about exploring the unknown. This is more about researching a species that he already knows exists. He's seen them on multiple occasions, experienced them many times, so there's a different approach to how we come out here. If you think along the lines of what Diane Fossey did or Jane Goodall, this is research. And it's about bringing proof to the world, too. Proof that the world will accept.
This research may not be as paranormal as you might think. Doctors, scientists, and primatologists all over the world are taking this subject very seriously. Just ask renowned anthropologist, primatologist, and UN Messenger of Peace, Jane Goodall, what she thinks about the subject. Her answer may surprise you.
Gigantopithecus. That's who we're seeking to have contact with. To help prove Todd's claims that they are real, they exist, they thrive, and they need to be protected. But they don't make it easy.
for our night at the top of the mountain. We're going in with only small rations and a simple overnight bag.
The temperature's dropped significantly since yesterday, so the climb's gonna make us warm, but also sweaty, and that's a dangerous situation to be in because you sweat, you die.
Todd found this location by being forced higher and higher up the mountain by a grizzly bear. It stalked him and pursued him, eventually cornering him so that his only escape was to slowly and cautiously move to high ground. Once he found a steep rock face, he climbed up it in the hope that there was no way around the bear could follow. There were several ways around, but for some reason, the grizzly refused to follow him to this part of the mountain.
From this point on, Todd and I are completely alone. The crew that's been filming us and following us to get in this far can't come across. They head back. Todd and I, we go up. This is it.
This area is rumored to be a secret location where conservation officers drop off all the rogue and problem bears and mountain lions that have found their way into towns. It's never admitted to publicly. On a philosophical level, I need to go in with a split mind. One with real intention of a humble attempt for contact. In other words, I can't be too threatening or nothing will happen. And yet on a practical level, this is real wilderness, and I need to look after myself and make sure it doesn't become some kind of survival ordeal I hadn't prepared for.
Anything could happen up here. All that would have to happen is Todd were to snap an ankle. That's it. Blow out a knee. So I've got to stop and look. And you know what? The biggest thing on moving forward for survival is looking backwards. Because when you got to come out, it doesn't look like what you've been seeing all day long. And you have to have that in your brain. So I'm looking back here. First thing I'm doing is that big, beautiful mountain stream, I'm placing that in my mind. Because I know that 100 yards or so off to the left, I go down. That's where roughly I came in. I've got to do these pinpoints because if it's me that has to come out of here, and maybe in a hurry, I gotta know my way. What I like to say all the time is, you can trust your guide, and Todd's my guide, but don't rely on him. Rely on myself. That's survival.
Stopping frequently to check out potential tracks and signs, this journey will take us all day and should see us making it to the top just before night falls. Though I prefer to go in alone, this time Todd will stay with me to show me the way. We can mark it as a spot that I can return to spend an extended period of time to either rule out or confirm Todd's claims.
So you heard boom, 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 boom. It's their steps. Steps. It's those big, powerful steps that you saw on the ground. Did you hear that? That was rock knocking. You're never gonna hear that again. You gotta really listen. It was clack, clack with rocks. Whoop.
Whooping, whistling, banging rocks. According to Todd, these are all ways to communicate. Again, to assume this creature exists at all is to assume that it has a high level of intelligence. Probably the closest thing to a human in existence. If it is in existence. If I sound more agnostic than skeptical, it's because never before has there been a more perplexing subject matter when it comes to life on Earth. According to hundreds of Aboriginal cultures throughout the world, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Yeti, perhaps the Gigantopithecus, is real, and its existence is simply taken for granted. They don't question it, but they do respect it, either out of fear or out of reverence. And so their stories of interaction with the legend are numerous. Yet somewhere in all of this, there has to be science. Cold, hard, scientific fact.
That's one of the best tracks we've seen yet. It's right in line two coming up here, right? Look at that. Look at the toes. Okay, I'll do my foot test. Like, look at that. I did nothing.
That's a real heavy animal.
Can you see toes?
I can feel the toe prints. It's like using the, it's like using the toes to push yourself up, right?
That's right, yeah.
Left foot.
Yeah. right foot indentation.
You thinking grizzly or
I'm thinking Bigfoot. Grizzlies don't walk in a bipedal stride like that. Watch me take this step without grabbing on anything. See, that's a big step.
That's a huge human stride, that's right.
Look at the indentation. Let's do the ground test here.
Yeah, there's no way I can't make that kind of an impression.
Even to be honest, even a grizzly bear.
I was just about to say, even a grizzly is not gonna make that kind of impression because that's just softer footed, you know?
These are two examples of Todd's video footage of a Sasquatch. The first one, a creature simply standing up from behind a rock, is footage that 4 self-proclaimed Bigfoot experts said was a fake. The second one is of a Bigfoot running away up a steep hill in strides that no man can match.
And you're hiking up a hill, you don't take strides like that. Human beings do not take strides like that up a hill.
Yeah. Whatever made this impression here had to be seriously heavy. Wow.
So here we have as you can see, a nicely aged piece of wood that's really, really solid. And you see a break right there and a partial footprint right in front of it from a heavy strike.
All right.
So I would surmise that it was a heel that hit that, and the front toe part did that smash into the ground there.
Yeah, that's not a human weight's not going to break that like that, not a chance. And I don't see any big boulders down below it or anything like that.
So this would be actual toes, like I can see there. Beautiful, beautiful track.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite ever. Really impressive.
You can see the toe prints.
Yeah.
Todd once sent me a video clip that stopped me in my tracks. Again, one must allow that it could be faked. But the ominous question once you see it is, what if it's not? There can only be one answer.
That 5-year-old that I was talking about earlier was standing just outside of the shadows of those rocks. And I was coming down this way, and I was just coming over this log. I jumped over the log, and I had a funny feeling. I turned back and looked, and I saw something blending with the rocks, but it was so jet black. The eyes and the hair, everything, the lips, was as black as I'd ever seen anything. So I looked at it and I thought, that's kind of odd. And the hair was standing up on the back of my neck, and I tried to be rational and calm about it. So I took a couple steps, and then I saw a really quick blink. Then I got really nervous because, wow, it's like seeing a grizzly bear cub or a black bear cub. There's a baby here. Where's mom and dad? So I took about 6 or 7 steps, looked back, and it hadn't moved a millimeter. Still just there looking at me. And I waited about a minute till it blinked again, and I was like, that was a blink, that's not a rock. But he was just really calm, very curious, and very confident. He wasn't afraid of me at all. And I believe that's the same guy that I'm having all these encounters with and doing all this stuff.
Hoax or real? It's your call. You know that saying, you can't unsee something? Todd is only unusual in that he has video footage that leaves no doubt. It's either fake or real. But thousands of other people have stories of encounters even more spectacular than Todd's. Are they all faking it? Or is it some kind of mass hallucination? The answer is up there.
Todd and I have made it to the top now. This will be base camp now. It's where he's had a lot of activity, a lot of interaction. We'll do the night up here.
That was not here 2 or 3 weeks ago. And it looks new. It wasn't here before. There's no way.
That mark there is Todd's pretty confident it was not there the last time he was up on the top here. Yeah, it doesn't look like a bear at all. It's just a gouge out of the tree.
I put my apples up as high as I could reach over here. Obviously, because this looks really significant to me.
2 large trees here that, I mean, significantly large trees. And they're placed in a position leaning up against a tree that was obviously growing here. Yeah. Yep, those are not, they did not grow here, that's for sure. These trees did not grow here. And they're huge. I mean, I wouldn't put this onto, I would never accuse Todd of having put these trees there. That's just not feasible. On the top of the mountain. A man did this. Must have been a couple of bighorn sheep.
After a day of climbing up into the hills, I've made it to where Todd's standing claims is Bigfoot territory. With the sun dropping at our base camp near the top, we already get our first action.
We just very clearly heard a fairly higher pitched squeal or sort of hoop in behind us and a knock down below us. Todd, I heard it.
Let's get you to that hoop, please.
You want me to hoop?
Oh, absolutely. Nice and loud. Loud as you can do it.
We're just sitting here talking, and all of a sudden, we're hearing a hoop in behind me and a hoop down below us. Todd says he heard a knock. So up above us, there's a whole other, for lack of a better term, forest, tree line, and all of Todd's experiences here on this spot, they've come down from there. And I definitely just heard a sound that I can't explain. Actually, a couple of them. What Todd is saying is that they won't show themselves yet. He figures it's going to be a nighttime contact. And they'll come within about 70 yards and make some sounds. And if like it all, we can pull out the infrared light and we can see that far.
I have strong night vision scopes and infrared lights, giving us a viewing distance much farther than normal cameras would allow. Gigantopithecus, according to modern yet anecdotal claims, are nocturnal. So it's nighttime when the best action should happen. Like I've said so many times, they don't make it easy. There are no real great video clips, simply because everyone is trying to film something that doesn't want to be filmed. Vulnerability, not hubris, is the only tactic that will enable humans to find Bigfoot.
So we've been maybe a couple hours without a lot going on. Windy and cold up here though, but no reason why we can't get a fire, sort of just hunker down a bit. We can get a fire going now, see how long we can keep it burning, and watch the dark come in. And with the dark, maybe a lot more will come in.
We didn't believe that giant squids existed either. Then we found one. Is proving out Gigantopithecus only a matter of time for modern scientists?
Wind's really blowing up too, eh?
Yeah, but it's really that time. If we wait another 10 minutes, it can be really black.
As the night falls, my own sense of why I am here and doing this becomes veiled by the darkness. Have I too fallen prey to the power of suggestion? Has my memory of my own experiences hearing bizarre sounds in the wilderness been embellished over time into something it never was?
Okay, so I just heard the strangest sound. It was like someone taking a couple of rocks and just banging them together really fast. And then just like a sound of something substantial just in the bush. And we're talking about maybe 20 feet away from me. But either way, what I just heard was loud, distinct. Also interesting to note that it was down from me. It was in the lower position. And I know that Todd feels when they take a lower position, they're getting very brave. I don't know what time it is, but it's pre-dawn. And I'm just gonna lie here and see what else happens. That was crazy.
I'm on my way to a place shrouded in mystique as much as beauty. Clem2, BC, on the northwest Pacific coast of Canada. By all accounts, a pristine wilderness paradise. Washington and California get all the press when it comes to Bigfoot. But in Clem2, no one even questions the possibility. They're just here, and everyone knows it.
There are thousands of streams and rivers just like this one all along the coast of British Columbia. It's pretty much a salmon supermarket every fall. Anything that has salmon on its menu will come here to feed. It's easy pickings. Wolves, eagles, bears of all species, and any large predator. And around here, everyone is convinced that that's Sasquatch. There we go, look at that. As easy as that. And there he goes. This particular stream is famous for sightings. The reason being, it's right on the edge of the town of Clem2.
Clem2, part paradise, part sleepy little town reminiscent of a Stephen King novel. A quiet native village on the edge of the ocean. Its freshwater lake is shrouded in mystery as much as it is the morning fog. They say it's the home of Sasquatch. So the encounters here happen on the main streets and in people's backyards. As it is with every North American native group, no one here thinks Sasquatch is a joke.
My auntie said she looked back, seen this big thing standing in a red cloak.
And then I heard this scream, and it was right behind the house, and not just us, our neighbors heard the same thing too. He's walking just down the road there, right behind our shed, watching people going by.
We started running. We never stopped till we got down to the corner here.
Whatever it was pretty big. I'd say 9 feet, 10 feet.
I figured that was a Sasquatch.
Bakwas. Bakwas is the name they give it here. Throughout the native communities of North America, you can find more than 100 other names for a being whose existence is taken for granted. On record, they'll tell you their stories of encountering them. But off the record, they'll tell you that they are spiritual beings, not apes as the cryptozoologists claim. In other words, their belief is they are another type of human with special gifts and powers. This is my journey into the world of Bigfoot, and what I believe is not important. It's what my hosts here believe that matters, and they've given me permission to travel into the territory of the Bakwas and see for myself what's possible.
In any of the work that I do, always got to remember, you put the blaze on the trail for heading back. You can put them on both sides, it's good, but if you're only going to do one, do it on the sight line for coming back. Otherwise, it's on the other side of the tree and you can't see where you're going. A lot of times, too, if I cut down like this and I leave the strip, amazingly, the strip will actually go back up and cover your blaze. And so you've got to do the little up chop and knock that strip off as well. I'm gonna move nice and slow. And we'll start sweating. Lots of tracks in the moss, probably deer. The interesting thing is anything that's going to make a track on a muddy spot, an open spot, we call them sort of the little track zones, is something that, for the most part, doesn't care that you see its tracks. So if it doesn't want you to see its tracks, it'll avoid, even like wolves, they'll avoid an area like this. Now this area is really well worn. I'll bet you a lot of animals come and urinate on this stump here. Wow, that's a lot of bear poop. Oh, and here's more.
According to researchers, bear and Sasquatch territory is virtually identical.
It's also a big track-like impression. Right here, got in the moss. I mean, everything else is covered in moss, and this section is not. It's flattened down. It's worn down, really. Easily could be bears. Another thing that is very curious to me is where's the big trails? Like, elephants and giraffes and big creatures, even, bear and moose, they leave trails all the time. And you can tell, you can see the hoof prints, you can see the paw prints, you can see the scat. Something that is reported to weigh as much as 900 pounds has got to leave more marks in the bush. If we see footprints of a bear, we say there are bear there. If we see footprints of a cougar, we say there are cougar there. If we see footprints that are massive and humanoid, what's there? Well, that's the question, isn't it?
Whatever is there leaves tracks, screams in the night, throws rocks, befriends people, abducts or even kills people. Or is it all just elaborate hoaxing? I'm seeking the truth.
One other technique that I was told is worth trying is to film what's going on behind you as you walk away. So that's something I'm going to do right now, is switch on the little camera on my back and just film as I walk out.
It's said that buckwas will follow behind you, feeling more secure that you're not watching them. So filming backwards, I may just be able to fool something and get it caught on camera. Calling out a coyote-like whoop is reported to be something that gets their attention. There's an internet's worth of Bigfoot research ideas, so anything's worth a try.
Nothing. Interesting thing about hoaxers and trying to lay out hoaxes is that those who are getting involved are really getting pretty good at it. In some cases, you look up and there's tracks going straight up a hill. 6-foot stretch, stride. Now, how is that possible by a human? Well, it's not. Unless you wear the tracks on backwards and go down the hill. Where there's a will to hoax, there's a way. There's different stages of accepting the fact of the existence of a species. Stage 1 is you start to hear about the species by local people. Stories, reports, different incidents. Stage 2, someone comes up with a skeleton. Stage 3, a body or body parts are found. Stage 4, a live specimen. And that results in stage 5, which is on-the-ground research of the species. Sasquatch are firmly planted still in stage 1, which basically means they remain in the cryptozoology genre.
Cryptozoology is the study of hidden animals, hidden undiscovered species. To the cryptozoologist, it's a noble pursuit, ripe with the possibility of discovering something amazing and being the one to present it to the world. But the questions continue.
The biggest issues is, why do we not find bones? Where are the bones? Most biologists don't worry about that question because they know the answer. It is so exceedingly rare to find predator bones. Cougar will go and hide when it wants to die. Trying to find their bones is very much a needle in the haystack. Now imagine if it was an intelligent being who wanted to hide bones. There's hundreds of thousands of bear in the wilderness, and I've never found a bear skeleton.
At least on the question of missing bones, the skeptical biologists and Sasquatch advocates agree. It's a non-issue. A couple of hours boat ride from Clem 2, I've been dropped off at a cabin within 100 yards of a prolific clamming bed.
This cabin is reported to have had activity, reports of Sasquatch showing up here.
was probably about 6 or 7 of us out in, camping on this one island. And then my brother and I, we started a big fire, and we started throwing more and more branches on the fire. And I could see you could see the eyes, the reflection of the fire off its eyes. As soon as everyone looked over, all 6 or 7 people looked over, that Sasquatch stood up and started walking in the bush. It freaked everyone out.
So Sasquatch, if they exist, are said to harvest clams. Well, actually, in different places, different cultures have different names for them, such as diggers of the sand and clam diggers. So if that isn't self-explanatory, I don't know what is. So the theory here is that being in the neighborhood of rich clam gardens and harvesting them as a human being is essentially treading on their territory. So a lot of the stories in this area reflect that in terms of warnings with screams, rock throwings, stick throwings, wood knocks on trees really loud, enough that it scares a lot of human clam diggers away. It's really about attracting attention to myself. In a way, almost create a little bit of a fuss, you know, be seen out at night with headlights flashing, digging in the clam gardens that are close to what is reported to be territory of Sasquatch.
There was an old man that was down one of the bays down here digging clams. And he wasn't getting too much where he was digging, so he was going over to the little island. And for some reason, he looked back, and here there was some kind of an animal down by where he was digging.
And one of the elders that was with us, he started hearing these sounds of screaming and sounds like someone was getting murdered or someone was being tortured or something. It was really weird, this loud screaming. It was a really uncomfortable feeling, and just hearing that.
Our pails were almost full and our sacks were almost full, and just boom, out of nowhere, this big rock right in the middle of us where we're digging. It just missed. We didn't wait. We took off like scared rabbits.
I've just spent an hour digging for clams outside the cabin, where many encounters have happened.
It's actually a cabin that's had activity where they say they've hit the walls before. So, see what happens while I'm here. Making a little bit of a ruckus around this place. Like I'm not trying to like be creepy or creep you out, but you gotta imagine, you know, looking out that window and seeing a Sasquatch face looking in at you, or seeing a hand go up against it. That's gotta make you jump right out of your skin. All right, let's see how the night goes.
From what I've found, the methods for provoking an encounter with a Sasquatch are as variable as the reported encounters themselves. So my thought is to follow the lead of my hosts, the people, native elders, scientists, wildlife biologists, wilderness trekkers, hunters, mushroom pickers, anyone at all who claims an encounter. And in this case, there's no hardcore survival needed, just a night in a cabin. My night was uneventful. Although after a great feast of clams, I got a good sleep. Nothing hit the cabin walls, no screams in the night, and no footprints left outside. So I'm being boated out to Clem2 Hill, an old volcano the local native population was successful in protecting from the miner's shovel. But before I can even get out of the boat, I'm greeted with a perplexing sight.
Boated around now to the other side of the volcano, and there's an old logging road. I want to try and see if I can make my way up. It's supposed to be quite the hot spot for Sasquatch activity. Now, when we come along here, that's the weirdest sight is see this skeleton here. And it gets better than this. Let me show you the bones first, though. And literally, we're just, you know, just laying like this. I mean, look, if you step your back a bit, like sort of in this, when you're way over there, you're looking ahead going, what the heck is that? And it's this perfect line of bones. Now, we're all guessing that it's probably sea lion. It's really bizarre to me that the bones aren't ripped apart. I mean, normally if an animal's caught and eaten by anything, the bones are ripped apart. And here we have the perfect skeleton. And it's been here long enough that grass is growing through it, and all in one perfect piece. Then you step up just a couple of steps, and you see this. And this is like a nest, really. It's all, I mean, everything is circular, so something's been turning around to lie down. I mean, highly likely a bear. That would be my guess. Big one, though. That's for sure. I mean, often moose, deer, bear, a lot of large animals will curl up in the grass like this and lie down, but whatever lied down here was massive. If it was a bear, it was a very big bear. You can feel the indentations in the sand. Can I place it? No, I can't place it. Maybe bear. This is really strange. Let's give you another view of it.
I can't call this a hoax. No human has been out here for quite possibly years. No one knew I was coming out here today. As if it were some kind of ritualistic scene, this spine of bones laid out as they are is one of the creepiest things I've ever experienced in the wilderness. Who or what would leave such a sight, and why? There's nothing about it that makes any sense. I'm a few hours boat ride from Clem 2, Canada, pushing deeper into what is considered to be Buckwas territory, Sasquatch, Bigfoot. This is Clem 2 Hill, a place with a long history of encounters. And for now, my mission is simply hiking the area, looking for signs that stand out from the norm, at least the wilderness norm,
Okay, so look at this here.
as I know it.
Now, likely case scenario, rot. And down it goes. And if you're a little too obsessive about it, you're gonna say that's a Bigfoot bend. I think it's probably just rot. A lot of times, though, there are markings that they talk about in the trees here when you've got to step up over something and come past like an area like this. And you go here, if you look there, you'll see a worn area where something has stepped up, and it could be 6-7 feet up, way higher than any bear would make. A lot of the branches sometimes, if you look up about 8 or 9 feet tall, the spruce trees, when they die, the branches become very jagged, very sharp, and you can see a lot of clumps of hair caught on them. So for DNA evidence, that's worth looking for. I'm basically about, well, not even halfway up the volcano, nowhere near that. The forest here is so thick, it's really closed in. It's never going to be as easy as going to a campsite where somebody said they saw an 8-foot hairy creature and it's going to, show up for you. If such a creature even exists. If it does exist, then its ability at being stealthy will be supreme in a place like this. I'm not going to be able to outsmart it or outtrack it. I'd have to wait till it comes to me. And I think that's really the name of the game for the wild, is getting myself in deep into areas that people have these incredible claims and see if something comes to me.
And it's going to take a lot of effort, trying different methods. For this phenomenon is considered to be many things by many different schools of thought, and they can't all be right. It's my job to find out what works. What's the best way to elicit some kind of interaction with whatever is out here and be able to survive it. The people of Clemtu respect and give the creature a place of awe, of legend, and they live with its reality. I'm here to find out what that reality is.
Encounter that was told by a couple of people in the community that was actually driving up the hatchery road. The way he told it to me was that as you drove up and you suddenly stopped, the guy was looking up and he seen there was something standing on the road.
The big thing was so hairy. He just walked like us, those young people.
And his girlfriend beside him was so terrified that she was actually hiding. He said that he put the car into gear, looked back up, and the animal was gone.
This is a vast wilderness, thousands and thousands of square miles of area for something to exist. My quest is to seek some kind of contact with whatever it is that's out here. Whatever's screaming, throwing rocks, being spotted, making tracks. I'm not going to say I believe or I disbelieve. I don't either. I simply have had a few strange experiences. I want to find out for myself what's out here. What I do is survival. I guess that's what I'm good at. Whatever else is out here will have that skill set in spades over me. You know, the way to look at this is you're watching me paddle out here to this spot, and you are completely convinced in your mind that the whole notion of Sasquatch is just silly. They just don't exist. It's not possible. Okay. Well, if that's the case, then what's the big deal for me tonight? There should be nothing to worry about, right? Maybe a wolf pack. Be careful about that. Maybe a bear. I'll be careful about that. But I've been in lots of wolf territory and bear territory before. That should be all I have to worry about. If the other side is right, well, that's a whole new ballgame. There's no wind tonight. I guess that's a good thing. I'll hear anything. There's something to be heard. For example, were a tree to fall, I'll hear it. As for me, I'm going to remain calm and just tell myself that I'm spending the night and the next night alone on an incredibly beautiful lake outside of Clem 2, BC. I mean, this is picture perfect. And it's a place where, generally speaking, I'm very comfortable. Let's see if that comfort stays for the night.
And so I find myself at the far end of Clem 2 Lake. Teenagers and young men will come out here on occasion to hike or hunt, but most residents of Clem 2 have no interest in going up to the place of horrifying night screams, rock throwings, and sightings of the big hairy people. Some are terrified of this place, and one pilot has claimed to have seen an entire Sasquatch family walking along this very beach. The locals call this place the Bakwas home.
Man, there's a lot of big wolf tracks here. Okay, here's something I'm gonna do. I got a little tiny buried camera here. I'm gonna put an apple right in front of it. I'll take another apple and put it on the log here. Good thing about this is I'll hear something walking in the creek or the swamp. I'm kind of bordered on all sides. Of course, something could step right over top of it as well. But at least I might hear something sloshing around.
My hosts looked after me at the cabin in the hill, but out here, I'm finally alone. It's how I do my best work.
This is an attempt at getting them curious. 3 wood knocks.
I'll start with the action of wood knocking, supposedly a great way to get a response from Sasquatch.
I'll do that again at dusk and maybe around 1 in the morning. Because likely I will want to stay up for most of the night. I don't think I'm going to sleep.
Alone, and trying to get a Sasquatch encounter to happen to me, I camp at the far end of Clem 2 Lake, a pristine place of wonder, where lies a mystery that gives the town's inhabitants less than a mile away nightmares.
All right, something else that I've uncovered in the research is a tactic by which, when I have to relieve myself, I go over and always pee in the same spot. And that this can actually lead to something coming and always peeing adjacent to that spot. So whenever I have to relieve myself while I'm here, I will do exactly that. I think I'll always come over to, there's a bushes over here, and I'll get on the other side so that maybe whatever might do this practice will do it over here. Yeah, sun's definitely going down. You can see it's going down fast. And that's what I'm going to do now. Relieve myself on this side of the bush. All right, well, before it gets too dark, let's take a look at what I have for just protection.
while out here. Standard bear spray on my belt. I've got two kinds of, we call them bear bangers, they're flares. More than anything, it's really just in case I've got an overly eager pack of wolves or a rogue black bear bothering me, but chances of that are highly unlikely. I'm not one who thinks that wolves are out here to attack us. Normally right about now is when I might play my harmonica, get a nice echo going. But I think in this situation, I'm going to stick with the wood knocks. If I'm trying to attract something, then let's play by the rules that certain researchers have laid out. And one of them is that it's the wood knocking that really attracts them. I've been told that hands down, wood knocking gets you results. You get knocks back or interaction that night. So I've already knocked 3 times, and I will do it again later on in the night. And I won't play harmonica. I'll keep that inside the tent. If I get some action, some activity, then I'll play the harmonica inside the tent and basically make myself out to be a very confusing animal so that whatever is out there might take interest in me just out of pure curiosity. Almost completely forgot that I also have audio recorders. Freaked myself out there. I have audio recorders, so I'm gonna put 4 of them out, capture any sounds through the night.
My gracious hosts from Clem 2 would prefer I approach this all spiritually, and I am respecting that. But I can't help but throw in a little technology as I dig deeper into this phenomenon.
And it shoots awfully long way with night vision, enabling me to pick up great distances in the dark. That's helpful in a situation like this. All right, let's just see how the rest of the night goes. It's gonna be spooky if I get an answer back now. Nothing. Yet.
After an uneventful night, I paddled the lake for 2 hours in the morning, only to return to a perplexing surprise.
The 2 apples on the beach are gone. Now, they were on the ground. Likely case scenario is something very simple came along and took it. So I'm gonna step wherever it's clear sand. All right, so what have I got here? This is new here. I'm just circling around the tracks that are really interesting. I don't believe they're wolf tracks from old, yet they look fresh. It's very hard to tell. Power of suggestion is a very powerful thing indeed. But as I look at this print here, we've actually got the indentations of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 toes. And this toe over here, bigger, fatter than the rest of them. Cross in a straight line.
Before I get the chance to think it's just a random scuff in the sand, I find an identical track 40 yards away.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's cast them both. All right, got my pancake mix. Just need some blueberries.
This is actually a mixture of a casting material called hydrocal. If any consideration at all is going to be coaxed out of skeptics like myself, it's going to take observational and evidence-based science. Junk science or eyewitness stories alone aren't going to convince anyone. Data has to be logged and cross-referenced. Years of evidence has to be studied by researchers for consistencies before it will be accepted as proof or even as supporting evidence. This lake is the location of an unsolved tragedy, a missing boy. Dozens of searchers came out here to try and find him, but what's most shocking is that 3 of them found caves out here, with such a strong stench emanating that they stopped their search in that area out of fear and left the caves, vowing to never return. I want to find those caves.
There used to be a trail along here that the townspeople from Clem 2 would use to get to the beach where I've been staying. But over the years, people got so freaked out by the strangeness out here, the rock throwing, the screams, breaking trees, that they stopped using the trail, and it's probably mostly largely grown over. Now, this forest has a look to it that will be considered to be normal. What I'm looking for is what doesn't look normal.
Figuring out what doesn't look normal in amongst what does is the art of tracking.
It's likely torn apart by bears looking for grubs and insects to eat a long time ago. There's tracks here. Looks a lot like bear track. Lots of little caves, but nothing substantial. One thing I will say, if there was some kind of ancient hominid species still hiding and existing out here, it makes perfect sense to live in caves. Oh. You gotta watch where you fall so you can reach out and grab a devil's club plant. It's gonna hurt. There's a few deep holes to fall down in here, that's for sure. One wrong step, and you're in the middle of a horrible survival situation. Who wants to be in one of those?
I do not find the caves, nor any signs of large primates, so I'll take my place back at the camp to sit out the night at the edge of Clem 2 Lake. I've replaced the missing apples with another apple and a sandwich out on the sand, essentially as bait or an offering, however you want to look at it.
All right, I've lit the fire, but the rain's coming down now. It's windy and it's raining. It's going to be a completely different night tonight. Cameras are rolling, audio recorders are rolling. I don't know what else to do except sit and wait this out and see what happens.
It's been pouring rain all night long, just bucketing down. And I can see the sandwich and the apple are still there, so nothing over there. Just a little while ago, there was a Bigfoot researcher who came and stayed, I guess, a few hundred yards from the trailhead at the other end of the lake. He didn't want to come all the way to the end of the lake here. And he also came in here with 4 big dogs. Stayed here for quite a while and had no Bigfoot activity. And the day after he left, there was a family camping down the creek a bit. They all of a sudden heard all of this smashing and some in the bush, like branches breaking, and then something being hit, like with a club, trees being hit with a club sort of thing. The father of the family doesn't get spooked very well. He's a bushman. He immediately told people in the town, and quite a few people from the town all went up to this campsite and all heard the sounds. They all heard all of the smashing and crashing, and they felt that what he'd done is he bothered the family of Sasquatch that live in this area, at least that they feel live here, and made them upset, got them angry. That was 3 days ago.
Maybe my food gifts will appease whatever or whoever the researcher got upset. But it's an interesting question. Are modern-day Bigfoot researchers poking at a hornet's nest without realizing it? Should there be a protocol of respect displayed when attempting contact with this phenomenon? No action last night due to the heavy rain. Apparently Sasquatch has weather it likes or dislikes. But then it happened again. Before my morning paddle, the apple and the sandwich were there. 2 hours later, they were gone.
So just like yesterday, something has messed with the apples and the sandwich on the log. The half apple's on the ground and the sandwich is gone. Who knows? Ravens came back, ravens took the sandwich. Probably as simple as that.
Here's the rub. These are motion-triggered cameras, so sensitive that even a blowing piece of grass triggers the camera to record. You see the bird, but what it didn't record was the sandwich disappearing. It's as if it malfunctioned only for that moment. And as a filmmaker, I have no answer for that. But Sasquatch advocates claim that as a general consistency, electronics go awry whenever Sasquatch is involved. Again, and I'm not even asking you to use your mind's eye, I've just got to get the sand off somehow. The track itself is here like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 toes. All the piggies that went to market are right there. Now this one is more pronounced. I'll show these to John Bindernagel, who's an expert on casts. He's got quite a collection. Let's see what he thinks. After 2 nights and a modest amount of strange occurrences, I'm paddling and hiking back to the town of Klemtu on the northwest coast of Canada to meet up with wildlife biologist John Bindernagel and show him my new strange tracks I've casted while on the lake. He has his own tracks, and he's extremely familiar with reported prints of Sasquatch, so I want to get his opinion of mine.
Heel.
You're there, yeah.
Heel, and then, okay, toe, gee, good spotting. Huge wide heel. We have this hypothesis that this thing looks like an upright great ape. This, of course, is very ape-like.
Yes.
Chimpanzee, the gorilla.
John is convinced that these are casts worthy of showing to some experts in the field, and so I'll hold on to them. But for now, I want to get back up to the lake. I need more than tracks. I need something real to experience.
People that have gone up to the lake have heard things,
Growling or something moving really fast through the bushes.
Screaming and hollering.
One of the guys even got so scared that he took off in the middle of the night and just left us there.
He told me that it's a bugwar, she said, in her language. That's, like a Sasquatch.
Okay. A tree just fell over. Over there. A very large tree. Wow. I've got chills, and the hair's up on the back of my neck. I hope that was just natural. I'm shaking. But I was just sad. I haven't lit a fire yet or anything. And it's just boom, boom, crash. I'm going to turn on the audio recorders, which means, unfortunately, I have to walk towards that area. Okay, I'm spooked now. I am here on the stillest of nights. There is not a breath of wind. And any other time, in any other camping trip, in any other situation, I'd say, oh, that's really cool. Tree must have just rotted just at that time. Oh, and I got to hear it. That's what I've been telling myself for years and years. But since doing the research, there's a lot about how they push trees over to scare you. Whatever they are. I'm out here in what's reported to be, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, hotspot for Bigfoot, I guess. And it's the most stunningly beautiful, quiet night here right now. And a huge rock or tree falls over in the corner there. Doesn't make sense. If I get something back, I don't know that I'll even stay. You see, this is the thing, too. It's one of those things, right? It's like, okay, why didn't I get that recorded? Literally, I'm sitting here thinking, well, it's almost dark. I should get the fire going. And because I've got 8 hours on the recorder, so I want them to work through the night. So it's like, well, I'm here, I'll wait. I'm not expecting anything right now, so I'll wait a while. And then I will turn on the recorders. So nothing's on yet. I wasn't talking to you, so I didn't have the camera running. I was sitting here quietly, enjoying this. This is going to be a long night. All the times I've heard a single solitary tree come over near to where I was camping on a still night, I've always written it off, too. It just happened to be when the tree rotted. And I just happened to be there to hear it fall. I'm going to start paying attention to that more often now.
It's possible that at that moment, on a completely still night with no rain or wind, the tree fell due to rot. But I maintain that the sound that I heard was much closer to the sound of a tree or a rock being tossed 20 or 30 yards and weighing at least a few hundred pounds, even landing in a wet area. It didn't sound like a tree slowly cracking or rotting over and falling to the ground. But all you have is my word. And the rest of this night, well, this is just the beginning. I'm climbing down into the rabbit hole, swallowing the red pill. I want answers, and how deep this rabbit hole goes, maybe farther than I really want to know. I just want the truth.
Here I am again, out in the middle of Alberta, on a mission. Actually, it's not so much of a mission as it is a quest for answers, solutions, a quest for understanding. Although I'm not looking for some sort of golden chalice or a holy grail. I'm actually trying to put together the pieces of a puzzle. A piece of the puzzle is out here. The puzzle is Bigfoot.
And one by one, I'm attempting to put the pieces of the puzzle together until the picture becomes clear. I remain firm on the fence between skepticism and acceptance. A survivor man, my journeys have taken me across the globe, and I've sought to touch the earth, to learn from it, and teach how to survive as humans, not apart and separate from it as we are now, but connected to it. And it would seem that the myth, the legend, or the fact of Bigfoot symbolizes the power of nature. Perhaps that's why it seems to be becoming more important. If Bigfoot is just a myth or is real and disappears, what does that say about our connection to the earth itself? So I'm here in Alberta, Canada, with one of the most controversial Sasquatch researchers in the field, Todd Standing. The phenomenon of Sasquatch is often as much about the people who advocate its existence as it is about the creature itself.
It's not so much that I'm out here thinking, I want to go find Bigfoot. Not at all. I want to get to the truth of thousands of tracks and people saying they saw this or saw that, heard this or heard that. Well, this is like my home out here. This is the wilderness. I want to know what else is living in my home. And the way to find this out, the way to get in deeper, just as if I were to go in and to film woodland caribou, I used to consult the biologists who study caribou. Well, it's the same thing here for this phenomenon that we call Bigfoot or Sasquatch. I don't even know if they exist yet, but there are people who claim that they do. And if they're going to bring me into these places, I've got to respect their wishes on how they do things. Here, Todd Standing likes to put apples up on trees, swears that they come in, they take them, and they leave. And that's what makes it fascinating.
Basic science states that given a specific set of circumstances, different observers can witness the same outcome. As far as tracks go, once wildlife is ruled out, either they're a hoax or Bigfoot made them. It can't be both.
See up there right below that log, see there's little bits of debris on the apple stick? That's where the high apple was that they got to.
All right, did you put one up higher?
No, that's as high as I got.
Well, then why is there an apple way up there?
What do you mean? Where? What the hell's
You
this?
see it?
Never would have thought to look up for apples.
You don't recall trying to throw it there?
There's no way I did that. There's no way.
Huh.
So, yeah, I don't know.
It couldn't have been thrown.
There's no way.
That would have taken a long time to throw that. That's kind of freaky.
That's really weird, yeah.
Todd seems genuinely surprised that one of the apples put out as bait or gift was removed from the lower position on the tree and placed at least 10 feet higher. An extremely suspect maneuver for any known animal, for sure. Todd claims the Bigfoot activity in this area has slowed and almost stopped. He has suspicions as to why, and it'll take a few days before he admits to me what he's thinking. I'll remain attuned to the slippery slope of the power of suggestion. All the advocates of Bigfoot have to be held to a high standard of proof.
Oh yeah, from this angle it sure looks a lot more like one. It's really interesting. It's almost like the two toes spread apart.
Yeah.
Because this clump is still here, and it didn't fall there, it's there. The thing about all of this research is how much of this is based on hoaxes and fakes. And that's what a lot of the skeptical people would claim, is that it's all just faked. What I know is this: there's facts and there's theories. The fact of the matter is there is an indentation in the ground here. It looks like it could be sort of humanoid, but somewhat different. It's a theory that it was caused by something other than my host in this area, which is Todd Standing. And that's the way I have to treat every single thing out here, everywhere I go. The fact and the theory of what it means.
The fact is, there are thousands of tracks found all over North America, every single year, of varying sizes and dimensions, yet all with very similar repeatable features. The theory of the skeptic is, they're all hoaxes, and I do mean all of them. Because if even just one of these tracks is made by a Bigfoot, well, that's all that's needed for the advocates to say, they exist, they're real. We have the footprints, so we need to find the footprint maker.
Now, these examples are actually common around the west coast of Canada, and they're just a bizarre potential example of Sasquatch activity. We've got this tree that's clearly upside down and shoved down into the earth. And if I come here and I look down, that's old down there. It's not fresh. Nobody's been here in the last week. My suggestion, if you wanted to hoax this, you have a gas-powered auger, you aug your hole, you pick up a tree like this, you pop it in, fill it in, you're done. But the thing is, there's old moss down here. This thing has been here a long, long time. And so I am gonna rule out human hoaxing on this one right away. What else could it be? Could it be industry, logging, or roads people? Well, the question has to be asked, why? Why bother? Because it was done years ago. Why bother? Is it a marker for something? As humans, we don't make things like this as markers. We put them in nice and perfect, and the thin part would be at the top, the fat part down in the ground, and be chopped off properly. You'd see hammer marks to hammer it down. This is just an upside-down tree shoved down deep into the ground. And they occur like this in random places throughout, potentially, North America. I know in Canada for sure. It's claimed that these are markers set out by Sasquatch. What they mark, what they mean, who knows? So what is it, and why is it here? These ones are hard to explain.
The increasing regularity and reoccurrence of phenomena like this are exciting Sasquatch advocates and baffling any scientist that'll give the theory of Sasquatch even a single moment of interest. Things are happening and being found in nature that wildlife biology is having a hard time explaining. That is, without including Sasquatch.
You know, of all the people who spend time in the wilderness, trappers probably have the reputation of being those individuals that can lay claim to being out here more than anyone else. They have a wide variety of experiences, from dealing with major large predators, and so it's often trappers that lay claim to having seen Sasquatch. It's thought that perhaps some of the signs that are here were signs that Sasquatch had made markings for those trappers. In other words, you're okay over here, but don't come over here. You're okay over there, but don't come over this way. And this is one of the traps left behind. This is an old trap. It's been left for a long time. This particular location is rumored to have some trappers that ran this line for a long time and not only claimed to have seen Sasquatch, but claimed to have seen them many times. And eventually, so the story goes, they were scared out of this area. They said they just didn't want to come back anymore. They couldn't handle seeing the Sasquatch. It got too close.
According to Todd, and through a third-party taxidermist who knew the trappers well, they said that just a few years ago, the Sasquatch were stealing from their traps. Claims of interaction with Bigfoot that include damaging property, rummaging through food supplies, and even within close proximity to civilization, exist by the hundred. To prove or disprove Bigfoot, what is needed is a systematic study of evidence, not just anecdotal references. And the high-tech surveillance gear is getting smaller, cheaper, and better all the time. This is the vanguard of technical research on Sasquatch.
Okay, so these guys right here are little infrared trail cams, the same type that everybody uses to try to get pictures of deer or bear or whatever, you know. And a lot are using to try to get shots of Sasquatch. Now, here's the thing. It's just been proven recently that caribou can see ultraviolet light. And it's thought that perhaps Sasquatch can pick up infrared light. That's why they shy away from all trail cams. They just sort of, no way, they see the light. It's a problem with that. These things are not triggered to go off until there's motion in front of them. And once there's motion in front of them, they'll go off. So there is no infrared light while they're hidden or strapped to a tree. The other explanation is that this is their home, and they're the ultimate, most experienced tracker, escape and evasionist that you could possibly imagine, and this is their home. Potentially, they can see the tracks leading up to this. So what we've been doing in putting ours up, it walks straight in and straight out again, and hide it, place it, and then go around and walk everywhere all around. Why? So that there's no attention brought to the buried camera. Nonetheless, giving it a shot.
On my perch between skepticism and acceptance, I need to do all I can to prove out or disprove the claims of existence of a large, hairy, intelligent being. It must be noted that there is a huge contradiction we are contending with. We have a 10-foot tall walking creature that we can't find.
All right, I'm attempting to get video footage of what is reported to be the most elusive, highly skilled creature on the planet when it comes to existence in the wilderness. I'm still human, and out here at night in the dark, my senses are weak, even pathetic. So I need to keep increasing my chances of seeing something out there. And there are a lot of different ways to do that, so I'm gonna just perform a little bit of a test. Now, right now, you're watching me in the dark, and there's an infrared light. If I put my hand in front of it, see that? That's on my camera, all right? And you can see me because I'm really close. I'm about 1.5 feet from the actual camera lens. What do I do for something that's hundreds of yards away? And for that, I've got this baby right here. Now watch him behind me. Look at that. So that's infrared technology. My camera is set to a mode that will pick that up, and this has very long reach, much bigger reach than the one you're watching right now. Lastly is thermal imaging. And this is one of the things that a lot of Bigfoot researchers feel is one of the strongest ways to capture a Bigfoot on film at night in the woods, lurking in the shadows. So what I'm gonna do right now is a little experiment. I'm gonna head out myself into the woods, 200 yards or so, and I'm gonna basically creep from tree to tree, run across the opening, hide behind a little mound, and just have all of this, we'll call it stealth camera equipment, pick me up. I'll see how this turns out. Of course, I already have the creep factor because now I gotta walk a couple of 100 yards off into the woods here. Well, actually, where I'm walking is exactly where last year we had wood knocks and movement. And at the time, we thought that it may very well have been 3 Sasquatch that have come in. And now I'm kind of going up here by myself. It's always creepy, no matter what.
These images of me walking without looking through the camera viewfinder as you are now are taking place in pitch black. There's no standard flashlight being used. On the left side is the infrared technology, and on the right, the thermal camera set to black for heat. So everything you see that is black is a heat signature. You can tell that even the trees still have heat within them.
Now I'm just gonna walk straight to the camp. See if they can pick me up.
I actually can't see the cameras filming me in the dark, and hopefully, neither can any other creature out here.
All right, so that brings me back within about 30 yards here. And that is utilizing all these different methods to detect what might be out there. But the first thing that has to happen before any of this work happens by me is I have to hear something in the first place. Without activity, none of this technology is going to do me any good anyway. But with activity, it could be incredible. And I've got cameras set up pointing back at the tent, and I can monitor them from here on the inside. If so something is coming around the tent, I'll be able to film it and see what's going on while I'm in the tent, which is really creepy, actually, when you take a look here. I've got to admit that this area feels different this time. I was here with Todd Standing before, and very active. Little hoops and stick breaks and tree knocks and whistles and potential tracks and all sorts of things. But this time it just feels kind of dead, quiet, nothing. And Todd is also saying the same thing. It's like it just all stopped. And there may be a juvenile that's coming and hanging around, more likely in the day. That's what Todd feels he's experiencing, including seeing potential tracks. But the big group seems to be gone. What happened to the group of Sasquatch that were coming around that Todd was getting all this activity with? What happened to those? I want to get to the explanation. I want to find out why the activity just stopped. And Todd may have a bit of a sinister explanation as to why everything just dropped off after the spring. I'll get to it.
We had zero activity last night, and I knew Todd Standing to be extremely confident and enthusiastic to the point of zealousness about his evidence of Sasquatch and his ability to invoke interactions with a species he claims is real. So it was a shock to me that this time he's expressing mostly frustration and dismay that the Bigfoot activity here has almost stopped altogether.
Because the activity's down to a minimum at this point, what we want to do is head out for a bit of an extensive hike today, off into the area where it's thought that Sasquatch did not want the local trappers to go. But we're heading off into this area for the very purpose of stirring up trouble, in a way. And if indeed Todd is right and there's only one juvenile hanging around at the moment, then even this is a way of reaching out to him. It's just sort of kind of reminding him that we're here and saying, come on down and, you know, mess with us a little bit at night. And that's the thing about researching Sasquatch. There's a lot of methods to it, but by far the most favored is one where you entice them to come to you, because these are the greatest trackers in the wilderness, and to think that we can stealthily sneak up on them is a fool's game. So Todd's been successful at bringing them to him down into the camp. But again, without a lot of activity, this is an exercise to just stir it up a little bit, get them interested in us. Yeah, there's clearly, again, indentations in the ground here. I mean, that's the fact. The fact is we've got indentations in the ground that look, you know, suspiciously humanoid, large, heavy, toe holes. What's fascinating to me is this particular track has what I would describe as almost like a gap between the big toe and the rest of the toes, which is exactly what I saw back at base camp. The same thing. It seemed like it was a splayed sort of toe situation. So who knows? Family trait, maybe the same individual, maybe the same individual getting a little bit bigger in life. Who knows? Here's the big toe here. And then this blade, rest of the toes here, tramp down. If you look here, these berries are all squashed, and it would take a lot of power to squish berries into the soft ground. If I step on berries right now, I'm not going to actually squish them in the ground. They're going to go into the pad of the moss. But here, these berries are squished, which doesn't make sense. Squished berries doesn't make sense unless something very heavy stepped here.
Encounters happen and tracks are found. But is the interpretation of them correct?
Now, what's significant about this particular track is that we found it at the base of a very old tree break. The tree break phenomenon is, again, something not necessarily unique to this area, but definitely prolific in this area. Then you get that interesting thing again where people 1,000 miles from here have the tree break phenomenon. So is it natural? Well, if this was the only one, it's natural. But you find them over and over and over again, and you find them lined up. They'll be bent in the direction, often, of man-made interference in the bush, a trail, a trapper's trail, a cut survey line. And really, I think Todd's theory, his hypothesis on this is that every time they're pointing at the trail because they're saying, okay, fine, you stay over there, you can be over there, but don't come this way. What I want to do is I want to break it my height. Okay. So we do one like this, and I'll do one pointing the other way, which creates an avenue of confusion, right? It's almost really, in a way, like you challenging them. I hate to say it, but let's try it. There we go. One way, one the other. It's got to tick off somebody. This is creating a disturbance, and it's making a statement. I have no idea what statement it's making, but it's making a statement. If you go by Todd's theory, then it's me saying, you know what? It's almost like I'm saying, this is my area. And if there's anything here with dominance and an alpha, a sense of being an alpha, it's not going to like that. And it's going to dispute that.
If the broken trees are not from natural rot or snow or made by someone doing an elaborate hoax, and they are indeed made by some kind of large, hairy humanoid species, and my actions of breaking them will do no more than amuse whatever creature might even pay attention. Or I just damaged 2 trees unnecessarily. What researchers like Todd are doing is spending thousands of hours in the wilderness finding pieces of the puzzle and noticing consistencies.
All right, so here we have something of interest. Remember that I keep saying, what's normal in the forest? What do you see that's, what is the baseline? What looks normal? And when you spot something that's not normal, now you have something interesting. So here, there's something very normal here, okay? See the cut tree? That's likely. Trapper comes down here, sees a tree across his trail, cuts himself a place to drive his all-terrain vehicle through or whatever he's coming down with. Then, short span of time later, tree, not as old as that tree, knocked down right across the trail again. Really easy to say coincidence, okay? So a tree comes down, big deal that another tree comes down 10 feet away. Until you start coming to places where over and over again, you have human comes through, human clears away, and then right behind it, new trees come down, right there, right in that spot. It should be much more random. Let's suggest that this second tree down is a reaction to the first tree. Let's suggest that a Sasquatch has pushed it down. All right? If that's the case, look at the size of that thing. The amount of strength it would take to push a tree down that big is intense. Maybe the first one was put across in the first place. Maybe it was a keep out of here. Trapper doesn't notice it, just cuts on, keeps going through. Oh, I told you, stay out of here. Second tree comes down.
Determining how long ago each tree fell is an easy exercise with the right tracking and nature skills. But crafting a complete story around the events is still conjecture, or theory, or hypothesis, depending on how you choose to look at it. But isn't that how all fields of scientific research often begin? By noticing an emerging consistent story and then ruling out what it isn't, to determine what it is. As the weather takes a bit of a turn, I continue on my search for evidence of Sasquatch and convince Todd to head off into the areas he had not yet explored, to push the envelope further into the field.
What we've done now is we split up, stand a few hundred yards apart, go down, and then very steep up. I'm using the compass just to keep me in a straight line, but man, that's steep over there. And we do have a system we're using so we don't lose each other. So if I whistle, he whistles back. So we stay in touch with each other that way. And of course, in this case, he's the only one with a gun. So if I come upon a big old cougar or angry bear, he's got the firepower I don't.
The reality is most people who claim to encounter a Bigfoot with a gun in their hands say they can't shoot, because it would be like shooting a human. My first mission is to continue to stir up the surrounding woods so that whatever is out there knows we're here. Another is to keep my eyes out for anything that is inconsistent with normal wildlife signs. And lastly, to get Todd Standing to push a little more beyond his limits of field research.
It's hard for you to see that, but beautiful mountains off in the distance. And I know that if I were a Sasquatch, I'd want to live here. The tough part about this area is food, sustenance, survival. When the berries are prolific, great. But before that happens, there's got to be some other food sources. And here it's likely to be elk and deer. Okay. It is windy, but not here so much. Trees are pretty still here. I'm hearing some cracking down there. It's impossible for Todd to have gone down there. You know what? Can't hurt. All right. Well, if I'm playing the game, then if there's something there, it now knows that I know that it knows that I know that it's there. This will be a heck of a climb. Here's the thing. I keep going up this hill, and I hate to admit it, but I'm seeing step holes that are very large and big distances, even though it's going uphill. I can't manage the distance. And I just get right here. There's just so many like that. I mean, dozens of spots that have big sort of holes here. I mean, they're covered in snow, but they're in the right place, and they're not the shape of multiple sheep and goats. I'm seeing those as well. These are the times in wilderness survival where no matter what I do, I'm going to sweat. Going uphill, no matter how slow I go, I'm gonna sweat. And you sweat. Oh, wait a minute. This is crazy. I didn't even notice. So looking back at you, did you see? Look at the scratches.
As I meet back up with Todd, I've spotted what I am convinced is likely deer or bear markings on a tree.
Yes.
Todd is convinced otherwise.
That's some serious, well, I'm saying bear, but that's a very big bear. These bear claws are uniform.
Yeah.
This is, congratulations. We are near a day watcher spot. Those are Sasquatch fingernails.
Right.
Nothing does that. Look at this. A bear can't do that. Can't. A bear's got 4 claws. He can't do that. Even look at these two. Look at the way they're scratched like that. My fingers fit there perfectly.
All right. And there's a tree break and a structure there.
Wow. Gold mine jackpot.
Gold mine. Jackpot. This is where Todd's zealousness can get the better of him. I still think it's the rubbing from deer antlers. And he mentioned a day watcher spot. He has a theory that certain Bigfoot stay awake all day in special positions, monitoring the area for everything from hunting opportunities to intruders. It's a theory he prefers to keep to himself. Sasquatch advocates worldwide are a secretive, often exclusive group of people withholding their information, and this doesn't help with their cause in convincing the skeptics. As I break away from Todd at the top of the hill, I start to feel the hair stand up on the back of my neck.
Uh-oh. I'm getting that feeling. I'm getting that creepy feeling. See, I see a clearing up ahead, and it's just compelling as all get out to keep walking. Oh, but I got that feeling. Weird feeling. Oh, my.
At the top of a remote hill in Alberta, Canada, I search for signs of Sasquatch. But what I find, far from civilization, is a helicopter landing pad.
This whole area has been cut. You know what this is? I know what this is. This was once cut here, so if there's a fire, or if there was a fire here a long time ago, drop in the firefighters right here. I mean, there's a sea of green over there. Just a sea of green.
Out there, in that vast valley of trees worth a fortune to logging companies, Todd had set out looking for signs and evidence of Bigfoot. He did find tracks, but not the big, hairy human type, just regular boot tracks. But they were extremely suspect. The season was far too early for hunters. The evidence in Todd's mind pointed to a much more military type of maneuver. And for the first time in my searching, I hear evidence of a sinister conspiracy unfolding. Todd finally opens up to me about what he thinks may have led to this area having all the Sasquatch activity brought to a halt. And it's a disturbing story.
I found a set of 5 tracks that were moving gently and lightly and spaced out in about 20 yards each away from each other. And I also found a spot where these people had spent the night, like hardcore backcountry, which really impressed me. I just thought that was cool, right? First thing I heard was that got me up out of bed was about 90 seconds of serious gunfire. Like this was multiple weapons discharging hardcore. Just go, 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 go. And then dead silence. About an hour later, that's when I heard the helicopter come in. And I was up, watching, waiting, and the helicopter came in really, like we hear airplanes all the time, but this was really low. And you could see in this tree line over here, like I could hear the helicopter and there was 0 lights. And I heard it come in to where that gunfire was approximately and land. It was very clear to me that helicopter had a direction and it went straight to it and straight down. And I heard that helicopter come close. Nothing. They always have at least the red and the green light, right? 0 light whatsoever, no illumination. And it was very dark. There were clouds in the sky, so that also would help me see any kind of light. I saw nothing. So nothing when it came in and nothing when it left.
When a conspiracy is suggested, follow the money. Who would suffer the most if Bigfoot was proven to be real? Were mercenaries hired to wipe out Sasquatch? It seems the pieces of the puzzle have a dark side. Many miles off in the distance, a rock face has caught my attention, and I'm determined to get us out there for a look for caves.
we went up, we climbed this ridge here. There's the helicopter pad. There's the rocks. Right there. My contention is the best thing today is there's your trail there, sharp right turn, all the way up to there, and do our little hike up. It's right there.
Todd has spent the majority of his time out here, alone, hiking, sitting, listening, watching. So my presence here creates a change of operation. This is not the kind of pursuit that should be undertaken alone, without a high degree of survival skill.
But this trail's like so many other trails. You go into the thick of the forest, no tree breaks, no structures. And then you come along on this trail, tree break, structure, structure. Really interesting.
Most eyewitnesses treat Sasquatch in a subjective manner. So if it is treated as a fact, it would be important to seek an explanation for it. Truth is all that matters when it comes to this phenomenon. Personal agendas must be set aside to get to the truth. Science dictates the need for statistics, reliability, repeatability, and proof. But that approach is limiting for an elusive phenomenon.
Well, I'm at the rocks. Let's go exploring. Well, it's a smooth rock, but I don't really see any caves of any sort. I'm looking to find a big cave and have that real creepy feeling. Maybe even the stench everybody talks about.
One must remember in a situation like this that it's all based on assumption.
Amazing.
Why are we even assuming they live in caves? Who decided this?
Well, this suffices as an overhang, but not quite a cave. And the wind is going to bombard you here anyway. Great vantage point, but not so protective. Keep getting a pungent smell every once in a while.
As zealous and controversial as Todd can be, you have to give him one thing that many critics don't have: the confidence and skill set to hike alone and up mountains in remote wilderness areas.
Sometimes what you're looking for is close to the road. Sometimes it requires a bit more effort. This is when stuff starts getting a little interesting for me.
In the remote foothills of Alberta, Canada, I'm hiking my way through the wilderness with Todd standing in search for what he claims is evidence of Sasquatch. Unlike unicorns and fairies, Bigfoot are said to scream in the night, throw rocks at people, come into view on trails, and leave footprints and hair samples.
I got scat. All I really smell is, animal. Like a fur bearer. I smell fur. So the best thing here would be to find some hair, large hair, long hair. The scat that's here, it's a pretty large piece of poop for this little hole. And there's lots of little tiny bits of scat, but to have a big chunk like that, that's out of place. There's also a bit of an overhang up here on top of this. So one little cave, smaller animal cave, but with a very curious big piece of scat in it. I'm gonna take that back and get it tested. It'll probably prove out to be a bear or a cougar, but it's unbelievable. What we'll do now is come up this high with the very peak of the land. I mean, look at this view.
is looking up for caves. I can't blame Todd for his enthusiasm. This is a man who has claimed to have seen them face to face more than once. He claims that his film footage is real. I mean, take a look at it. If that's real, and Todd claims that it is, then that's a pretty powerful thing to see. One thing's for sure. Whatever it is, if it exists, and it lives out here, it's my kind of dude.
With hair and feces samples collected, I'm making my way back down the hill, and suddenly I'm stopped in my tracks by what is becoming a familiar sound.
Okay. Here we have it again. Now, probably too much noise and too much action to have caught it. There's a camera on my back that's recording right now, but I didn't have this camera on. As we were coming down the hill from the rock, I heard kind of like that, only a little bit lower in pitch, which, sure, could be anything, but it's the same whoop that Todd has been hearing every night that he figures is a juvenile coming around. So we're gonna sit and wait for a bit, see if there's anything else. I know all of this must seem rather silly, but I clearly heard a hoop over here. And as I sit here, there's little sounds going on in the bush over there. Right now, there's no wind. The bush is completely still here. I started walking, and whoop. And I hear little sort of nuzzles of sound all up in that area. You never know.
So my search continues. And with each expedition, it feels like I'm one step closer to the truth. Yet who am I to place myself as judge and jury over whether or not an elusive phenomenon exists for real, or only in the mind? But that is what I'm doing. And in my search for truth, I won't favor the advocates, nor the skeptics. Neither will I put science first, or philosophy, spirituality, or biology. Piece by piece, the contoured edges of the puzzle components begin to fit together, revealing to all who are sane the real picture, the truth of Sasquatch. This is the Hoopa Native Territory, situated amidst beautiful rugged wilderness and home to the legend of Bigfoot. Northwest California is famous or infamous, depending on how you look at it, but not for movie stars or musicians, rather for its abundance of Bigfoot sightings. It's the location where Roger Patterson shot his controversial film footage of a Bigfoot, a claim he stood by until his death, and a claim that his partner in the event, Bob Gimlin, still stands behind today.
This is it. This is the place. 1967, a film was shot here. Just a few seconds of film footage. Set the world afire. Spiraled down a road of controversy that's still going strong today. Roger Patterson went to his grave, swearing by it. Bob Gimlin is still with us, and he still holds that it was true, that he stood there with Roger Patterson while he filmed that big hairy creature.
We come up the creek, Roger in front of me, come around this big downfall tree, and the creature was standing just about 30 or 40 feet on the other side of the creek. And so Roger's running across the creek trying to get focus. And my first thought was, yeah, these things really do exist. And then Roger runs across the creek and he stumbled and fell down. Then he jumps up and runs over to a log and gets his elbows down on the log and starts stabilizing himself to get a better picture. I see this thing walking slow, but it's covering a lot of ground quickly. She got quite a little ways up there, and I said, well, Roger, I want to follow her. And he said, don't leave me here. And then he tells me later why, because there's 3 different sizes of tracks down there, and he thought that the other 2 might be right there. Well, I wasn't thinking about the other 2 or nothing. I just wanted to see this thing again to make sure, to make sure I knew what I was seeing.
There's 2 things here. Either they're telling the truth, or it's a hoax. There's no in between. It's one or the other. I've had my strange and weird occurrences out here, but I've seen nothing that I can claim is a Bigfoot. I've only heard some strange things that I cannot explain. And that keeps me digging deeper. I'm not here on behalf of Roger and Bob. I'm here on behalf of my own curiosity. What the heck have I heard when I've been out in the wilderness on so many different occasions? When I want answers, I go after them. And the answers are out here.
The native residents of the town of Hoopa have been extremely gracious in allowing me to film in their area. They understand that I come here with deep respect for their traditional and spiritual belief systems.
Up here, everyone takes it for granted. Nobody doubts its existence up here. They all just, it's here. They've all had their experiences, and if they haven't, their aunt has, their cousin has, their uncle has. Somebody's had some kind of experience that they believe of a sighting of a big, walking, hairy beast.
For a long time, I was like, I didn't want to really talk about it. Didn't tell anybody because I didn't want them to think I was crazy or nothing. As I dropped down right here, I turned on my high beams when it caught my eye, and by the time I actually got my car to it, it was already over and then going down. My cousin came back the next day to look for any kind of prints or any kind of things he can see because I was pretty freaked out about what I saw. I don't like to be in the woods at night. Not because no.
Don't go into the woods at night. The shadow men will get you. That's what many native cultures have taught their children. Is there real substance behind the warning, or is it just a scare tactic to get their kids home at night?
Pouring down. It's calling for a lot of heavy rain over the next few days, and I'm just trying to go in deep into the forest. That's not good. Basically, I'm just going to take myself down these access roads for a few miles. I gotta get in deep into the forest and start to put myself in the path of potential interaction with something. At the very least, this is some of the densest black bear habitat in California. It'll be interesting. Okay, so here, this is what I know to be much more classic bear scat. It's obvious as soon as I see it. What's interesting here is that right beside it, there's a small bit of scat. It's different consistency, different color. And then this big bear scat here. Which one came first? I don't know. But usually in cases like this, it's all territory marking. Someone goes poop in one spot, someone else comes along and goes, okay, well, I'm gonna poop on the other side of that log, and there you go. It's we can share this area, or I'm just letting you know I'm here. So, though it's definitely 2 different types of scat side by side, and I'm quite confident that the large pile is bear scat. I don't know what the other pile is. It's not mine. Yeah, just coming along the road here. Already I see tracks. I mean, hard to tell. I mean, whenever they're kind of big and toe print like, they become suspicious, right? It's like, okay, well, it's got to be bear tracks, of course, you'd think, but then you don't see any claw marks. It just gets weird. There's a track here. The thing is, like, there's one track down there, and the next track is 6-7 feet away. And that's a definite track.
Wow, I hate how my own imagination gets to me in these times, but I mean, I can see what looks like toe prints, and I do not see any claw prints, and it looks like, the front part of a foot digging as you go up the hill.
One of the indicators that a track may have been made by a Sasquatch is the distance between the strides. It's often as long as 5 to 7 feet.
The thing about this forest I find interesting is, at least in some spots, travel through it is not all that difficult. There's lots of big spaces between the trees, flat ground. There's something about this forest, I can say, seems to affect your psyche, though. I mean, it's felt weird being here ever since the day I showed up. It just felt weird.
But feelings aren't facts, although they might be indicators. Just what do they indicate? That's the mystery.
What the heck? Oh, I think I can tell. You see, now check this out in terms of the power suggestion. So, we know why I'm out here, right? I see this tree, and look at the way the limbs are gouged and broken off. I looked over here, look at this. It's the same thing again. Limbs all broken off to the very same height. Instantly, I know that Bigfoot researchers are looking at saying, that's a sign. That's definitely, a Sasquatch breaking limbs, maybe even ticked off. But then I step back a bit, look at the big picture a little bit, and what I notice is that along the road, there's this swath, and it swoops right along there and then goes back out on the road. And to me, that could simply tell the story of there was a big truck here. It was muckier than he thought it was going to be, so he gunned it. And as he gunned it, it was like crack, bash, crack, break. And then the next tree, same thing. And then, back up on the road. So you see, there are many answers to strange-looking things.
Max, my second camera operator, usually leaves me alone for these treks, but he's joined me to help increase our chances of filming whatever might be out here. And before we get far, we spot what is considered to be, by many, a sign of Sasquatch.
All right, well, I gotta do it. I gotta stop and look at this. Here we go again.
Hiking on the back roads of Northwest California, Max and I are off looking for signs of Sasquatch, and it doesn't take long.
Tree break. This tree is broken off exactly the same way so many others have been. There's nothing on the ground here to indicate a log or an old dead branch coming down from above. The tree right beside it is unaffected. Would a human have done this? For what purpose? A trapper? There's none here. Roads department? No. Snow load? Well, this happened this summer. This did not happen throughout the winter, last winter. This happened very recently. There is another possibility of that tree break there. Hoaxing. Somebody doing it for fun. Somebody watching a lot of TV and reading up and hearing about things like tree breaks and saying, hey, let's break some trees. I mean, my prediction is that, fake tracks and tree breaks and tree structures are going to start occurring all over the place, which is unfortunate because it'll make a mockery and a joke of the subject matter more than it seems to already be, which for wildlife biologists who want to be involved in serious research on the potential of just such a species, it just makes everything really difficult. Even I myself, I'm not ever going on record right now and saying I believe in Bigfoot or I know they exist. I don't. I've never seen one. But I've had some very strange experiences. And without, delving into all kinds of crazy theories, the closest thing that I can imagine that's affected me is potentially this species. That's why I'm out here. Just want to dig deeper and find out.
But how deep does the rabbit hole go? The scientists should at least be interested, because the potential is that if it exists at all, this is a species closest to our own. It can be a legitimate area of study. Even if it is mythology, where does the mythology come from? Because unicorns and fairies don't leave tracks in the mud or knock on trees.
Just standing right here, going over the map, making sure. I don't want to miss, this is a road here. I don't want to miss the trail I've got to head off on the right on it. Clear and distinct tree knock, really loud. I clearly heard it. It wasn't just a tree limb moving or something. It was like some sort of a knock in the woods, which could mean absolutely nothing.
What's needed is a systematic study of the evidence for the real story to emerge.
I mean, it's just really strange, given all the information that I've been given over the time, to find these. And in this case, you've got one going one way and one going the other way. Like they're beside each other and they're both broken in separate directions. You know, if it's snow load or a big windstorm, everything's gonna be all in the same direction. That's not the case here. If I take anything from what other researchers have told me, that's supposed to mean you're not welcome anywhere here. Stay out. Or maybe I'm welcome everywhere. Maybe it means that. This would be prime time to happen upon any kind of larger wildlife. Thick mist everywhere, the rain, so my scent is down, there's no wind, and when I head out of here, it's going to be pretty much a good part of the way in the dark. That'll be interesting.
As I trek further along the back roads of the Hoopa territory, further signs of activity catch my attention.
So, I mean, this is even curious. I guess it's a kind of a willow tree. It's all bent over here. You can see some branches have been busted to get it over. It had to be pulled over. It didn't just do this on its own. And then if we look at the bottom, all of the branches at the bottom have been chewed, and like all of the leaves. Now, it's well known that this is a tree that is good for headaches to eat. I mean, perhaps if one were to conjecture on the wild side, one could say, well, something had a headache and wanted to eat the willow shoots, or just wanted to eat the willow shoots, period. Pulled this tree down and nibbled away, just kept it in. But what in an area like this would do that? I just saw this. It's getting weirder and weirder here. There's another tree. It's come down, but it's broken right off, so maybe just a big storm. But see, there's a tree break right here. That's fresh, right? See that tree break there? That's super fresh. That's not very long ago at all. And it's got the classic formation of being a tree break. And it's the size of a tree that I'm not going to be able to do with my bare hands, nor any other man. And yet, how it would have just come down on its own like that, I mean, it does not make any sense. And it's, again, pointed towards the trail.
In my experience as a naturalist, I can't really argue that weather or animals have caused these half-broken trees, especially when they seem systematic. Only human hoaxing is an answer, but not in the areas where I find them. These signs, if they can be called that, show up again and again, and curiously, only in places that are claimed to be hotspots for Sasquatch. It's said that simply walking the forest roads of Sasquatch territory at night is a good way to experience an encounter. And that's my plan. I'll simply use myself as bait.
Night's coming in. We have many miles to walk. Thankfully, it's on a dirt road. Still gonna be spooky. Well, if there's ever a time to have a Bigfoot encounter, it'd be right now. It's been a few hours of hiking back up the hill quietly on a dirt road in the middle of Bigfoot hotspot. If we see one now, we're only going to see a silhouette, so hopefully he'll stand close enough that I can film him with a night vision camera. This is creepy. You can see what I can see, which is not much, because we're in the dark, pretty much almost, and walking in a thick, thick blanket of fog. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. Beware the moors and stick to the road.
Movies and TV shows create an unrealistic, fearful image of the wilderness. Whether shrouded in mist and darkness or lit by bright sunlight, nature is where we all come from. Sasquatch, or Oma, the traditional Hoopa name, may represent our link to the earth itself. Most native cultures don't fear Sasquatch. They respect them.
Well, this time it was about midnight. My dogs were barking like heck, and I just figured it was a bear again, so I took my .22 with me, walked outside, and my dogs were literally lined up, side by side, looking up in this tree, barking at this thing. He jumped right into my light, right into my light. He didn't look at me, but I seen his whole body, kind of a reddish, brownish color, kind of like an orangutan color. Man, I'm thinking in my mind, what the hell was that? Because it wasn't a bear. It jumped out of the tree. Bears don't jump out of trees, they crawl down. I never did say it was Bigfoot, but what the heck else could it have been?
Over the years, thousands of people have recognized the big difference between what they've seen and a bear. Broad shoulders, jumping out of trees, running on two legs, staring them down with a human face.
You know, a lot of times the question is asked, even if there was some sort of bipedal ape/humanoid, big hairy creature, how could it live out in the bush and escape our detection? I mean, we're out there all the time, aren't we? Don't we have roads and logging and things going on? Well, you know what? Look behind me. See that area? That's one valley of tens of thousands of valleys that look just like that throughout North America. Could something live out there? There was an intelligent creature who wanted to stay hid and could survive off the land and all it has to offer? Yeah. I could survive out there, and so could a lot of other creatures.
But the catch here is the term intelligent. It would need to have a level of intelligence that is far more than most of us are ready to even consider. Because if it was nothing more than an upright walking ape, well, my opinion is yes, we would likely have one in a zoo. There has to be something more to them.
The burden of proof rests on the shoulders of those who claim that these creatures exist. It doesn't rest on the shoulders of the skeptics. Think of it like someone coming to your door and claiming a new religion. The burden of proof is on their shoulders, not yours. That's why, if there is something that needs to be studied, it's got to be studied by people with the skills and expertise, the motivation to study it scientifically, and not with junk science, with real observation-based science. That's what's required here. Then, perhaps people will take the subject matter seriously. Hang on. That is a black-tailed deer and prime prey species in this area. Anything that's big enough and strong enough and fast enough to take one down, and they go, is going to consider them prey.
And just what would a Sasquatch eat? Well, according to researchers, just exactly what makes sense. Wild edibles, berries, fruits, nuts and seeds, mushrooms, deer, elk, squirrels, rabbits. Pretty much whatever a bear would eat. And the Hoopa area is incredibly rich with plant life and food sources.
go. Just every part of the season. These are wild grapes. And they're delicious. This whole valley is just covered in berry bushes. And so you've got a season upon season upon season where different berries like these are wild grapes and blueberries and blackberries and gooseberries. Whatever's here, they'll all come into their own at different times. And if you're a large creature and you just want to pig out on berries, this is the valley to do it. No wonder there are so many bears here. Now, they don't hunt the bears in the Hooper Reservation. That's another reason why they're here. But the main reason is to eat food like this for a long time, get big and fat. So anything as big as a 400 to 650-pound bear can survive here. There's got to be some serious food around.
And what goes in must come out. I found this load only yards from the wild grapes. And it's far too big to be human. If there is such a creature as Sasquatch existing in significant numbers in this area, as the residents believe, then this big pile of poop could actually be Sasquatch feces. In Northern California hides a small community, a native territory called Hoopa. The residents here claim they live amongst beautiful wilderness, wildlife, and Sasquatch.
This area up in here, right over here, this is the site of a fairly incredible story. This woman up in here alone. She looked out her back window and saw what will only be described as a Bigfoot, a large, hairy creature. With one in each arm, he had some of her bags from that heaping pile of shed there. And she noticed him. She called the cops. The cops came right away. And as they came back here, right where I am right now, I'm looking into the forest here, they said they could feel the ground shake with each step that the creature took. One of the police officers drew his gun, came walking into here, stood right here, right where I'm standing right now, looked down into here and said he was overcome with just an intense feeling. It was the creepiest, scariest feeling that he'd ever had in his life, the hair up on the back of his neck. One researcher asked him, well, did you look up? And he said, I didn't want to look up.
And those were the haunting words of a police officer, a trusted member of the community. He's far from alone. There are many others with stories.
Yeah, I was scared of it, but what are you going to do? You're going to start running to where? There was tracks there, Bigfoot tracks there, and some hunters went up there and turned their hounds loose on this. One of the dogs got killed. There was some bite marks on it, but more or less twisted and torn too.
I had a really close encounter when I was 7 years old, right here on this flat. One night I was going to the bathroom at 9 o'clock in the evening, and our bathroom was relatively small. But our window was like, it's probably 6 feet up off the floor. I looked up into the window and I seen this humongous arm reach right in. It almost touched me. And the arm was it was massive, huge. And the skin was like, not a black color, but a really dark tan color. And I fell to the floor. And I couldn't holler. I was paralyzed. And I laid there and all of a sudden I hollered for my dad. Dad, Dad, Dad. And he come running into the bathroom. And he goes, what's going on, son? And he seen me laying there, so he kind of picked me up and I go, that thing tried to grab me, Dad. That thing tried to grab me. And so he runs back into the other room, and he hollers at, my mom. He goes, Dicey, give me that gun. He goes, my father ran from right here. He ran out to back here. He said he stopped, and he said he looked at this thing, and it was standing about right at that flume right there, that flume line right there. But that was an old wooden flume line. It was all open where, the irrigation used to go through there. And he said that thing turned and looked at him like that, and he cocked his gun. By the time he cocked his gun, he said the thing was already down by the creek, he said, and it was running. And he said it took one jump, and it jumped the creek, all the way across up over top of the creek, one jump to leap that creek, and that creek is a pretty big creek. And it ran up the side right there, and by the time my father got there, it was already gone.
What do you say to thousands of people, credible, respectable people, with nothing to gain and sometimes much to lose, by coming forward and telling their stories of Sasquatch encounters? Are they all lying? Delusional? The continued and increasing eyewitness accounts are going to be a problem for the skeptics. But people make mistakes, imagine things, and once they become terrified, they can deduce that Bigfoot is the culprit. Inker was taught by the last existing Hoopa shaman, and he's my guide into the Hoopa territory, into areas considered to be sacred. And like so many natives I've come across on this quest to find the truth about Sasquatch, he reveres them, and he's in awe of them. Most North American native cultures are not laughing at Bigfoot. They're waiting for their return. Deep in the heart of the Hoopa territory in Northwest California, I'm hiking the back roads and trails in search of answers, trying to find one more piece of the puzzle called Sasquatch. I started out looking for what I was told was a big ape. Now I'm not so sure anymore.
I keep seeing tracks like this. It's a relatively small track, so it could be just something from, the boot of a human, but still, when you take a look at it and look at the shape of it, and I try and stamp beside it, I can't make the same track, and everything is soaking wet right now, so if there's ever a time I should be able to make a good, strong impression, it'd be right now. There's my, and there's the other. See, it's too close to tell. That really is probably just a boot print. It's just that it's got an odd curvature to it that doesn't necessarily signify boot, but maybe it does. It's full on needle in a haystack when it comes to looking for it. So it's kind of like you gotta kind of jump into the haystack and hope that you land on the needle. So you just don't know how it's going to happen, when or where.
Nor do I know what's going to happen. The possibilities are many.
No, it's not. It's just that moment. You can feel absolutely fine the whole way. And you get this feeling that something's watching you. Recently, I was quite a long ways away from here in northern Manitoba, Canada, and there they call it Sabe, and within the 7 teachings that they have, each animal represents a different attribute. Perhaps one animal might represent courage, that sort of thing. And there's wolves and eagles and bears. None of them are mythological. There's no thunderbirds. They're all regular standard animals that you have in the forest. Well, one of them is Sabe, Bigfoot, right alongside wolf and bear, eagle, raven. And the teaching that is associated with Sabe is honesty. I find that interesting because for those people who claim to have seen a Sasquatch, they have to often say, look, I don't care what you think, I'm being honest. This is what I saw. And let's get something straight, by the way. I still have people saying, well, where is he? With the thought that it's only one thing. This is not the Loch Ness Monster we're talking about here. We're really exploring something that people estimate
could be as many as 5 to 35,000 in the species. That's what we're talking about. So we're not talking about one creature here, one guy who's walking around photobombing everybody. So, in case you were still stuck in that mode, now you know.
For many native cultures, Sasquatch is a spiritual being and a real flesh and blood creature. It's both, but it's much closer to the human than an ape, with abilities beyond what most scientific researchers are willing to even talk about. I just want to talk about finding the truth.
The whole thing of this, the whole point of this, putting up with this kind of thing, is to just simply stay in the area, to simply be in the area. The reality is you can't just come walking into some place reported to have Bigfoot sightings and see one. It doesn't work like that. You gotta come here and wait it out and see if they come into you. That's the only way.
This tiny pond is a site of great spiritual significance to the Hoopa people. They often come here to do ceremonies, and they feel they are never alone. The Sasquatch are said to be here with them always. There have been many reports of loud, strange screams heard here. So what are we talking about? An ape? A Neanderthal? A race of humans? Something paranormal? Quantum physics? Or just one big myth? Looking for answers is a slippery slope. There's an old adage, don't ask questions you don't want to know the answer to. As we work on shelters in the rain, Max and I find much of our camera equipment failing in ways we can't explain. Humidity normally just shuts things down, but our gear is malfunctioning in ways we've never seen. Many researchers claim that Sasquatch have the ability to affect electrical signals. And then, as if on cue, Inker comes running from the forest after hearing some loud knocking.
So I have to pretty much just take Inker's word for it. I mean, there are big trees, and it is windy. Trees knock and it sounds in the wind. But I did hear what he heard. Just a single thunk kind of sound. When Inker said he had that feeling in the back of his neck, I didn't. But I'm getting it now. So, I just walk here. That's pretty much where the sound emanated from.
Our camera equipment continues to fail, while the knocking also continues. And in my mind, I'm deducing that it does in fact sound deliberate. But I'm refusing to believe Inker that it's not just a tree in the wind. Yet it sounds like something inside the tree, hitting the tree whenever I turn away. My ears can hear it, but the camera mics are not picking it up. Many of these cedars can be hollow from the bottom to the top, and anything large could live inside.
All right, I just heard two. Bang, bang. So I'm just gonna act nonchalant. This is me acting nonchalant. I'm hearing the knocks all the time right now. I do admit it's a strange sound to hear if it was just made by the wind. There's all the rest of the creaking and the knocking and the banging. There should be lots. A lot of trees here. It's just really confusing. Because I'm walking closer and closer to the sound. And I'm pretty sure it's this big tree.
I'm not normally curious about sounds in the wilderness, but this one is different.
Sounds volatile. This is the tree.
Inker was so sure it was a Sasquatch. I just want to prove him wrong.
strange. Wow, what a difference. This one's solid. That one sounds
I can't hear another single sound of tree noises in the storm. Only the sound coming from the inside of this tree, and the timing of the knocks sounds deliberate. For now, I've backed away from the tree knocks, even though they continue at what seems like deliberate intervals. We have more important matters, our own survival on this small mountaintop. The rain is turning to wet snow at times, and without a fire, we'll have a miserable night.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Even the toilet paper's not burning. But look at that. It won't even burn. Wow. I don't know, man. I know they want us here.
It's not such a flippant comment after all. With Inker, everything in the wilderness is observed and accepted on a spiritual level. He believes we're being tested at a skill both of us should be very good at. And with the fire failing so much, and the relentless rain, Inker and I, and even my cameraman Max, are just thinking, let's get out of here. But our internal spirit is keeping us trying. Inker scrounges for dry material, but everywhere is drenched. Both of our lighters are empty, and I'm running out of matches. This is indeed becoming a test of our character.
You gotta be kidding me.
With the tree knocking still sounding deliberate and separate from the storm winds, continuing only 100 feet away, match after match fails. And now I'm out and left with only a small bit of coal and no dry wood to add to it. But coinciding with our lowest moment emotionally, and seemingly in the nick of time, suddenly, only 50 feet from us, a massive tree falls down. It makes us all jump. Revealed in the tree fall is a huge supply of dry wood. So dry that it powders easily. With the new dry wood, I'm finally able to coax out flames. The wind continues, as does the rain. But the tree knocking stops the second I get the fire to take. Inker has his own perspective on what just happened. Inker's thoughts are that the Creator, working in tandem with Sasquatch, observed us in the testing and blessed us, gave us an opportunity to survive. It's the kind of perspective that requires an open mind and a big picture view of the circumstances. Individually, many events don't seem so special, but when you string them together, only then can you see a connection. The dangers of hypothermia. 2 skilled bushmen can't get a fire going, and so we're tested. A test of our character to not give up and just go home. There are strange, deliberate sounding tree knocks from the moment we arrive. And suddenly, as if we had proven ourselves worthy, a big pile of dry wood is dropped at our feet exactly when we needed it. The second the flame becomes strong enough to hold, the knocks stop, even though the wind and rain did not. And our cameras, they malfunctioned only from the moment we arrived at the lake, and then they began to shut down, only to work perfectly fine the next day. You do the math. Are all these events connected, and do they hint towards something spiritual, or within the realm of quantum physics when it comes to Bigfoot? Or just simple coincidences due to weather, and therefore meaningless? Inker doesn't think it was all so meaningless. In fact, he believes the whole affair was full of meaning. What it all does mean will be revealed when the puzzle is completed.
This was scary, exhilarating, and makes you doubt everything you ever learned that's real and unreal.
Back in 2014, I began work on a 10-part documentary series on the subject of Bigfoot. It took me places I did not expect to go, and it gave me a perspective I did not expect to have. Well, it's been 10 years, and a lot of questions still remain. Join me and help me to answer the litany of questions hanging over the phenomenon known as Bigfoot.
Walking up, I could see that there was something there. As I got closer, it stood up.
I know there's something there. I'm a lot more leery when I go out. I mean, really leery.
And I seen this humongous arm reach right in.
One of the dogs got killed, twisted, and torn in two.
What the heck have I heard when I've been out in the wilderness on so many different occasions? When I want answers, I go after them. My new documentary film, The Question of Bigfoot, will attempt to answer all of the skeptics' burning questions. Why don't we see one on a trail cam? Where are the bones? Have they ever been hit by a car? Why haven't we captured one? Is there enough room out there in the wilderness for them to exist? Are they real or are they not? I can't do this without you. So take a look at all of the rewards within this Kickstarter campaign and help me to produce The Question of Bigfoot.